Hello, 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 and welcome to yet another Q&A Thursday, where I'm your host, Dane Hennon, and to my left, not the usual suspects, actually, it's Lucas Blaine. Lucas from customer service. How's it going, Lucas?
Pretty good, Dane. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. Well, you know, Anthony's back. He had surgery, so he's definitely doing better on that front, but different kind of pain this last week. So
can't move around as much.
He's handling that part. He should be back here probably in another week or two. We'll see, but I don't want to make any promises on his behalf. That's up to him, but just in case you're wondering where he is. And for Levi took the day off, so he's just out. Not sure what he's doing, but he's out.
Yep.
So
had to take a spot.
Just you and me, buddy. So so we're handling all these comments, these questions coming in. This is Q&A, so obviously you guys, you have your questions about detailing products, techniques. You just want to talk about cars. I know I'm more geared for that, but I got you here for the detailing expertise because you're doing it day in, day out. So that gives us a chance to get it all. But before we get too far into this stuff, just for people who are like new, maybe they're not familiar with you, give them a little, 411.
So my name's Lucas. I've been working here at the rag company for around 2.5 years or so. Started in customer service a little over a year ago now, and I've been detailing since a little bit before I started, but once I started working here, it's where I really started to get into the actual like business side of it. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, you might sell yourself a little short there. You got some experience under your belt. I mean, you've been doing this for a while. You're product testing with the guys now. It's pretty cool to see. So I don't know. I think you got some real skill there, and you've worked on my car before, so I've seen him work. He does a good job.
One of your 17 cars I've gotten the pleasure to work on.
And then there's the razzing. We're off to a good start. So anyway, guys, bring up your detailing questions and techniques, products, you name it. Bring it here. And if I don't know the answer, which, hey, it happens, Lucas is here to bail me out. So we're good on that front. But today I threw a subject at you. I wanted to know, what are your detailing pet peeves? I wanted to know, like, the thing that when you think about detailing, there's always that kind of moment that you just run into a situation, or there's something people like super cliche sayings, some kind of like neighbor popping over, seeing you wash your car and going, oh, my next.
Yeah.
You know, always that kind of stuff. What do you run into? Because, I mean, you're doing jobs for clients.
I mean, I'm sure I could think of some more like niche kind of like things that kind of annoy me, but in general, just kind of the basics that I'm sure everyone here experiences, kind of like the neighbor, hey, when are you doing my car? Or people trying to haggle you for deals here and there, and then you get the classic, it's not that bad.
Oh, and for those who are just like thinking about getting into detailing, what does "it's not that bad" actually mean?
Yeah, it's if you get those words from a customer, you probably just don't want to take the job, being honest.
I mean, take a look.
Yeah, 100%. But they're not telling the truth.
You might be in for a real bad time.
Yeah.
That's what that says. Anyway, let me go ahead and get some comments put up here on the board. Get some hellos from people who may have been missing out. Of course, we start things off here with Dan Pfeiffer saying, good afternoon and word up from Minnesota, USA. Happy Friday Eve, TRC gang. Hope everyone had a great 4th holiday. I know I did. I watched them off my deck. I didn't have to set any off. Everybody else is doing it for me.
I didn't buy fireworks this year. Like me and my friends, we had like a few mortars here and there and whatnot, but it was more of a kind of watching event this year for us.
Yeah. No, it's not too bad. And, here in the Valley, we got to be kind of mindful of how much dry brush we got around here.
Now.
You may think, Boise, French, the city of trees, whatever. It's like, yeah, but that's because you're in the middle of a desert. And the French, when they discovered this place, were like, oh my God, trees, finally, something, life.
The city of trees, but it's not really the city of trees anymore.
It's more of like, we've seen nothing for a very long time, and suddenly there's some plant life. Yeah. So it's different than you think. All right, so we got first from Humberto. First from Puerto Rico. Hello, TRC team. Yes, hello. Humberto is here, although he wasn't first today. Dan beat him to the punch.
Second from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and of course, then he's throwing out a bunch of comments here to other people. But let's see, we're moving along. We got Dino here, popping in from Austria, saying, big hellos from sunny Austria. Really miss catching you guys live and dropping some questions, but just don't have the time for it. Catch you guys later. Hope you're all doing well. Take care. Well, We appreciate you popping in.
Have a good
even
one,
if
Dino.
you aren't able to be here with us for the full extent of the show. The fact you took a second, said hi, that means a lot. So we appreciate you, Dino. Thank you. And moving along here, of course, then I actually throw it out there. What's your pet peeve? I want to hear from people. Like, what are the things that you're running into? Then we got Hans. Hello, microfiber gods. Well, that's a bit presumptuous. I mean,
We'll take it.
Okay, Lucas will take it. He's totally down. He's like, yeah, no, fluff the ego. This is cool. So, yeah, Dan Pfeiffer screaming Hans, because, of course, Hans is in the building here. Not really, but, you know. Nathan, he is saying, Happy Friday Eve. Definitely boogers. Oh, he's talking about his pet peeve as boogers. Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I don't think I've ever run into that.
Please refrain from putting them under your seat, he says. So, like, I imagine the whole like, mucus boogers thing is similar to, like, chewing gum. You're going to run into it in a lot of similar places because people tend to have like that reflex, that muscle memory of just like being gross and wiping it in the same place like every time.
Hitting them with one of these real quick.
Yeah, just real chill, just like, and then little under the seat. Maybe it ends up on the steering wheel. Something gross. Oh, some people put it in their pockets. Like it's just
nasty.
Get a handkerchief or like a tissue, guys. A handkerchief's kind of gross because carry that around with you. But
I'd rather just get a tissue or hit them with a good old snot rocket to the side real quick.
Yeah, you just blow it on the sidewalk.
Exactly.
No, fair point, Nathan. I got you there. Yeah, next up we got Stuart. You want to read Stuart's? Go for it.
Hi, all. Wondering what P&S Express offers for interiors that Absolute does not. Why would I use one over the other? Thanks in advance. Well, Express is a dedicated interior cleaner, so it's going to be a lot stronger of a product than something like a standard rinseless wash. So while you might be able to use rinseless wash on an interior, I mean, I do all the time, but for me, it's more of like a maintenance thing, like dust, light dirt, things like that. When you start getting into like some of these like stickier stuff or kind of like grease or like dead skin that's gunked up, rinseless isn't going to touch it. That's where you kind of need a dedicated interior cleaner.
That's fair. Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's the biological stuff. Yeah. Moving beyond the simple dirt and debris. All right. Also, everyone. Oh, I see. He's saying here, next up we've got Brian. What's Brian saying?
My brother using his hand to wipe the dust off the entire length of the piano black B pillar.
Oh.
Skull emoji is right. It's
I've seen that one play out. That is a bad time right there. And, the people who do that, they don't ask. They just do it.
Those are also the kind of same people that use a California duster. You know what I mean?
Or something like that. Like, even if it's not exactly one of those, they'll use another product in a similar fashion where they just trust, I'm just dragging this along the surface. Nothing gonna happen here.
Or I get the question every once in a while from, usually it's more like old school kind of folks, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like you get which towel is going to be the safest on my paint? Like,
Sure.
oh, what are you trying to use it for? Oh, just dust off like dirt and whatnot. Like, well, I wouldn't tell you to use any towel to touch dry paint.
If I will say, because we had this a lot in the early days, like I understand the argument, say with like those dusters, if they're a better quality one, like a Cali dust or something like that, they're going to have like that paraffin wax,
right.
And they're going to be able to offer some kind of ability to pick that stuff up, but most people don't clean them. They just build up over time.
Yeah.
It
becomes
turns
a
into
scratch
junk
hazard
over time, unless you're maintaining your stuff. And that goes for anything. I mean, towels, if you're using an old T-shirt, whatever.
But I'd even argue, how much longer is it going to take you to just put down a spray or two of some like waterless wash or something?
And I get it. Sometimes you don't have the spray bottle in the trunk, but maybe you should. Maybe you should just develop the habit. Although I'm pretty sure anything I put in my trunk right now is just going to evaporate in like 5 minutes.
It is pretty hot right
with
now.
the triple digits we've been experiencing. But yeah, food for thought. I was going to say, as far as like towels and stuff go, we used to say like, oh, you can use an eagle edgeless, something with a longer pile. That's still not a guarantee you won't be doing damage to the surface if you put any kind of pressure on it whatsoever, because, I mean, you're dragging debris across the surface, even though a longer pile will help you a bit. I mean, it's better than a short pile, because a short pile, you're virtually guaranteeing you are dragging that along the surface because the debris has nowhere to go. With a longer pile, at least you stand a chance of, maybe some of it works its way up into the body of the towel so that the ends of the fibers are still free and just touching the surface. But still, it's not a guarantee. If you can use lubrication, use it.
Yeah.
in every
Lubrication
sense.
is key. It's safer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I still wouldn't recommend it. But
Yeah, like dangerous things can still be dangerous, but you can make them safer if you're like, oh, use a harness when you go riding in the back of a pickup truck trying to film other cars drifting and stuff. Like, I see that kind of stuff all the time, but whatever. Moving along here, we got David Boyce. What's David saying?
Afternoon, everyone. Dane, I'm dancing all over your head with gripes. I didn't get notification of Tuesday live podcast with AM Details owner.
Dude, I put out so many different notifications. This is the problem. YouTube,
I even got notified for that.
YouTube does not play any kind of consistent game when it comes to notifications. It's algorithmic in the way it puts it out there. But I did everything I could to post it on the community tabs. I posted on Facebook on several different posts.
David, are you in the Rag Company Facebook group?
If you're not in the Rag Company Facebook group, you should be, because I consistently post and like tag up at the top whatever the latest podcast is. I put it up at the top so people can easily find it. And then when the next one comes along, I pop out the old one and I put up the new one. But
and then you put out the @everyone tag, so then everybody gets notified of the post at least.
Well, and the problem is, even on Facebook, this is what drives me nuts about the state of like social media, is that now when you tag @everyone, because so many people were sick of people abusing the @everyone tag, it literally now says some people might be notified. It literally uses some and might as like operative words there, because now it doesn't guarantee you're going to reach everyone. So it's just yet another thing to be frustrated by, but like I'm doing what I can on all of the platform. But yeah, just make sure you got the bell icon clicked, and you make sure that you tell it, because YouTube went an extra step and said, okay, even though you click the bell, do you really want those notifications? So you have to tell if you want all of them or just some. So like the bell isn't even a guarantee anymore. So it gets pretty ridiculous. But one you can always count on is that Facebook group. I'm always posting in that Facebook group. Whatever the latest thing is, you will see it. You will know about it. Now in the future, one thing I did different this time, I did not do a premiere on this episode, whereas I did a premiere on the Dylan one because it was the first one. I wanted to make sure everybody saw it well in advance. The appeal of a premiere is everybody can see it, kind of like a live stream before it goes live. But sometimes when new people come in to watch, they get confused because it's like already playing when they click on it, if they go after the start time, as long as it's within the first playthrough period. And that gets confusing for people. They're like, whoa, hold on. I didn't see the beginning. It's like, well, you weren't here on time.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. You have to like try and explain to people. This is really inside baseball, but it's the things that you have to think about when you're posting this stuff. And it is a challenge. With the Allen one, I thought, okay, we did that premiere experiment. Now I'm going to post this one just direct and see what kind of feedback and response we get as a result. And the views were decent, but they definitely didn't have the same impact that the premiere ones did. So once again, just experimenting, seeing what you guys respond to. But I might do a premiere again the next time we do one, just to go back to that and see if it helps.
Yeah.
But anyway, you were going to say something. Sorry, I cut you off there.
I don't remember.
Shoot, that's what happens.
As far as like the Facebook post too,
yeah.
like you're usually pretty good about like even like following up. Like you'll be a double, like you'll put out updates and whatnot.
Yeah, no, the other guys aren't necessarily always posting in there, but I make a point to be in there every week. Like whenever there's new stuff coming out, I really do try and post it there. But I also use like the community tab on Facebook. So if you're on your phone and you're on Facebook, or sorry, on YouTube, on the Rag Company podcast channel page, you should see that stuff popping up too. So anyway, it's a lot of effort, but for some reason YouTube still doesn't notify people. All right, we've got Al here, Super Auto 2K, saying it's Friday Eve, LFG, let's go. And Exodus here with a point. I thought all the interviews are pre-recorded now. He's confused why it's a live stream. This is not an interview. This is Q&A Thursday. Yeah. It's always live. And we do it every week unless there's a holiday or if everybody's out injured /sick/whatever.
Or if the studio's being rebuilt.
Or the studio's being rebuilt. So the reason it's been kind of sporadic lately is because a lot of construction and, well, Anthony is like guaranteed out for the last several weeks. Yeah. And Levi just happened to be out this day. But he was also gone last week. So it was a whole thing. Anyway, not to get too deep into the weeds on that, but it should be a consistent thing. So now you know. All right. So we got Alex Dewar here. saying, help, you beautiful people. I think he meant hello. Stay cool out there. Love you all. Right back at
Love
you,
you,
Alex. Appreciate you, buddy. And it is not cool out there. There's nothing cool about what's going on out in the parking lot right now. That is some hot asphalt. All right. Director of Success. What's he saying, Lucas?
My detailing pet peeve: shiny hard leather when it should be soft, supple with a satin matte appearance. I'm going to add on to that right now.
That's like a personal preference thing, but it's a strong reason why you should want one versus the other, and I think that's what you're about to get into.
Yeah.
Right.
So here's the thing too, is that you have people that are maybe misinformed of, like, you know, what dressings and stuff like that are. And then they'll hit you with the last guy that did it, when I got it from the dealership, I had all this shiny stuff on it. Now it looks dry. I'm like, no, it's supposed to look dry. It's leather.
More often than not, the dealership does not know best when it comes to detailing related matters. They may say otherwise, and maybe if it's like a detailer you know and trust vouches for a particular dealership, okay, maybe they got their, poop in a group, but it's not necessarily a guarantee.
Yeah, 100%.
So anyway, go on. Why should somebody care about that?
Just because it's like, I don't know. Why do you want shiny leather? Like, I don't want greasy. It just looks, I don't know. It's just a personal preference thing. I get it. Some people like the whole dressed look and whatnot. I'm more of a either flat OEM, no dressing, or like very satin finish. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do the high gloss. Just looks off.
To my personal preference, like the reason I would want a satin or a matte finish, I think it looks better, more natural. But also when it comes to, say, like, they're talking about upholstery here, so usually they're referring to seats and stuff.
Oh.
I'm referring to like a dashboard, though. You do not want a greasy, shiny dashboard if you can help it, because that's a safety issue. If depending on the angle of your windshield, that's going to be bouncing off in the sun off of that, and it could obstruct your vision. Like, it sounds like kind of a dorky thing to care about, but I promise you, you hit the wrong angle with the sun sometime with a shiny dashboard or a light colored dashboard, which I still think is crazy that some manufacturers do that. Just, it's a bad time.
Well, and the way dust collects on it, like it's most of the time they're dust magnets. They're even worse. And then when you start wiping them, you get that greasy residual. It's just that weird feeling.
Yeah,
it makes my job harder if your dash is shiny and I have to steam it and reset it.
Yeah, because you're trying to dial it back to 0 when it's sitting up here at like 7 or 8 in terms of shininess. Next up, we've got Aaron Bauer, called Top 10 Bauer for some reason. Happy Friday Eve and 7-Eleven Day. Nice 7-Eleven Day.
We don't even have a 7-Eleven.
We don't even have 7-Elevens here. That's how remote we are in Boise.
I don't think I've ever been to a 7-Eleven, if I'm being honest. Nah.
I grew up in Washington. We had them around there. But actually, AM PMs were more popular where we were. I know people on the East Coast are like, we got Sheetz and Wawa, and people in the South are like, Buc-ee's, and you're like all these different things.
Buc-ee's.
Like, there's all kinds of options out there. So shout out whichever one is your local fan favorite. All right. So we got Chow Umberto, and then we got Hans. Lucas, I will call you tomorrow. I need an update. What's he needing an update on?
I think I know what this is about.
Oh, on a particular order then. Okay. Well, I'm glad you cleared that up via Q&A. Jeff C. here. Oh, Jeff C. Always here with some hard-hitting investigative research. What's Jeff saying his pet peeve is?
My pet peeve is when a customer brings in a car for an interior detail and has multiple layers of floor mats, all very dirty, with dirty carpet underneath.
Oh man!
Oh, I've run into that. I don't think I've ever run into more than 2, but it's usually, this is how it usually is you have the stock factory whatever OEM floor mats, and then they'll throw like a pair of WeatherTechs or something over that. I'm like, one or the other. You know what I mean?
This brings up a very particular, and this is, you got it down for like a pet peeve here. That's something that drives me nuts. When say like in the late 80s, early 90s, it was Audi, and like in 2005 or 8, Toyota was having this issue with the unintended acceleration thing. Like, do you remember any of that, or are you a little too young for? Okay, sorry, didn't mean to be ageist there. It was all over the news. It was this great big thing. Like back in the night, it was Audi first had like the big blow up of like national scandal. Of, oh my God, these cars are accelerating when they're not supposed to. And then Toyota ran into it, and it was because, well, they say it was because, maybe their lawyers told them it was the best way to answer, was because there were like not properly secured floor mats finding their way and pushing against the gas pedal, the accelerator pedal.
Isn't that kind of what was happening to like the Cybertrucks?
And I'm sure,
the
yeah,
pedal was getting stuck or something like that.
improperly secured mats can do that. So maybe that's also what happened there. I haven't looked into that one, but I do recall hearing something like that. But anyway, a lot of the issues people had were like, okay, somebody mistakenly presses the wrong pedal. You hear about that sometimes, like for somebody who's maybe a little older, maybe a little forgetful, they hit the wrong pedal in a panic situation. That can happen to anybody. But no, this was cases where literally the floor mats were pushing against the pedal and causing unintended acceleration, as they called it. And yeah, that is a result sometimes of people piling on multiple floor mats and creating a situation like, you ever see like a car where they have like cups or bottles rolling around in the footwell of the driver's side? That drives me crazy. That's probably a pet peeve to throw there. That is a freaking hazard, dude. That is an accident waiting to happen. I don't understand how somebody is just cool with that. Like, okay, if you're going to be throwing your trash around, like, you do you,
well, I mean,
but don't put it in the driver's footwell where the freaking pedals are.
I was about to say, I know I'm guilty of it. Like, I'm sure there's times where I've had like a water bottle or something. I'm
but
driving.
That's like one thing. I'm talking about like we all know somebody, like either we went to school with somebody or have a friend who like they have the trash car where it's just like everything finds its way into that car and just starts to pile up. I've seen some nightmare ones for sure. But
I have too.
Yeah, you probably worked on a few.
Details.
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably worked on a few. Anyway, that was a very good one, Jeff. I definitely agree with that. Next up, we got David Boyce shouting out Lucas with the Idaho Afro. Man,
Appreciate you, David.
he loves it. You gotta throw like a pick in that or something
I'm
like
gonna
that.
have to. I was thinking about showing up with like the Ace Ventura.
Oh my god, you probably could. Oh, look at this. Well. What do we have here?
Who's that guy?
I don't know. His back's fine. I know that.
Yeah, he's
like,
fine. The real one.
All Day
he's
Anthony, that guy's back's fine. Yeah. He runs circles around
Anthony Fisher
our
of TRC.
Anthony, who's incapacitated.
He's in a difficult spot right now.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go watch The Boys over at his house tonight because he's probably feeling pretty bored and sad.
Needs some company.
He needs company, poor guy. So yeah, no, I'll make sure we watch an episode of The Boys together or something. We got Alex here. Lucas, was Jamie and I's tour of TRC the highlight of your life?
Absolutely. Without you guys, dude, I don't know. I might be gone right now, Dane. I'm going to keep it honest. You know what I mean? They're the reason I'm still here. That
you
was
just elevated to a higher plane of existence
year.
when you did that, huh? Dang. Yeah, so I got Spencer here. Dane, should I just book my flight out to Boise instead for the interview? Dude. So I reached out to Spencer because if you're not familiar, those who are just like listening, watching, and like, I don't know who this Spencer guy is, it's kind of the point. I wanted to interview him on the main show podcast where we do the pre-recorded interviews because he has kind of a particular niche that he appeals to.
He does tractors, right?
He does tractors. Yeah. He does like farm implement stuff, like industrial machinery. He does coatings.
I actually saw.
It's interesting. It's really, really neat.
Spencer, I saw your post in our Facebook group that one big old John Deere you're working on.
Yeah.
That does not look fun at all. Like, you are a soldier for that.
No, like, it's a lot. And I remember running into Spencer at SEMA, and he was kind of telling us more about it. But that's what I want to interview him about. I want to hear about, like,
Spencer,
his process and how he wound up there.
How much does like maybe not your prices, but how much does something like that cost to like you know, like, are you polishing them? Are you coating them? Like, I'm curious.
I know he's coating them. He's talked about that, but polishing, I don't know if it feels like a waste of time to polish one of those, or if there's a point to it if you want aesthetically pleasing.
Follow-up question too: how much coating does it take to do one of those?
Oh yeah, that's right. Mean? Yeah, he told us, and I forgot the amount, but he did tell us before. So
like so much.
That's something I want to get to in the discussion as well. So anyway, yeah, go ahead and let us know, Spencer. Remind us. We got Alex here. I hear All Day also had surgery. The coincidence? No, you heard wrong. All Day's fine.
He's still posting Honda content.
It's just regular Anthony who had the back surgery. Yeah, no, I understand it's easy to confuse the two, but they are definitely two different people.
Have you ever seen him in the same room? I haven't.
I mean, if I did, would I know? All right. Kevin Miser, what's Kevin saying?
Detailing in the heat/humidity. I don't know why, but nothing frustrates me more than having sweat drip down on my glasses. I agree 100%, and I was
kind of
actually
kills your focus, huh?
Yeah, like that's when I press more than anything, like early mornings. Like, I mean, on that topic, I literally just did a car today before work because it's
Okay.
107 degrees outside today. So
Yes.
I'm not doing that. Like,
Now, this is the part where somebody chimes in, oh, you guys up north, you're so silly. Down here, we got humidity. Up there, it's a dry heat. As if that makes it...
I mean,
It's better than humid heat, but it's
Yeah.
not that much better. It's still a hot box
I don't
everywhere you
mind
go.
the humidity, to be completely honest.
I'm not a fan of the bugs that come with it.
I'm half and half. I don't like the humidity, but it's not like it's
Yeah.
not the end of the world to me. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I
Could
hear
just be
you.
me.
I like being near the ocean, but if it's hot, man, well, the humidity is a bit of a problem. All right, let's get up here. Spencer says, oh my God, my one cliche thing is when guys foam a car down and take the smallest brush and get all the little cracks and crevices. Like, why? Social media engagement.
Yes.
That's the answer. Because people just watch that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it
looks
doesn't,
really cool.
It doesn't make it the best method for those things. But while it does annoy myself to a degree and probably everyone else who sees it, to, let's say, a normie audience who isn't like the most into detailing, they just look and go, that's satisfying.
Yeah, it does look satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll give the video a like.
Yeah. And you're just like, that's a lot of work.
I see little circles.
Yeah.
I see clean surface. I like.
See, it's really that simple. But I still totally get it, Spencer. Like, it's a valid
I'm with
pet
you, though.
peeve. Valid. All right. Exodus here. I don't care how dirty a car is. Nothing gets on my last nerve like working in 100+ degree heat.
Absolutely.
Yes, agreed. Let's see. We got Hippolito Campos. What's he saying?
Hi there. Greetings from Panama. Greetings.
cool.
Can you explain or provide information about the ceramic coating line from G-Technic?
Sure, that's kind of broad, but we can...
Is there anything like in particular that you're wondering, like ease of use, how it performs, things like that? Because I mean, I do have experiences. If you have like, more like specific question, I guess if you could just give a little clarification, I can try to help you out with that.
No, absolutely. So, Hippolito, if you want to specify like certain particular coatings from G-Technic that you'd like to understand more, maybe like ease of use or longevity, those kinds of things, Lucas will definitely help you out. Just go ahead and be a little more specific, and then we can definitely work with you there. All right, we got All Day Anthony. I just realized that Lucas is wearing a hoodie on the second hottest day of the year. Do Gen Zs not know pain?
See, I just got this from him too.
He already heard it from me.
I'm in a building. I work in an office. It's air conditioned. There's an AC unit directly above me. It's just, I'm not outside. Okay. Sorry.
I mean, I'm wearing my shorts,
I'll admit,
which...
I am a little warm. I considered taking this off about 10 minutes ago, but...
Too late now. You got the
Chilling
earpiece
now.
in.
Yeah, I'm committed.
Whereas I feel like sitting at this chair at this angle, it looks like I'm wearing short shorts. I swear they're not that short. It's just when you sit in these chairs,
I'm in the
it's
same boat, so
less flattering. All right, next up, William Pope. What's William saying?
Fingernails pet hair. It's not that bad. You don't offer a lifetime coating. Oh. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
These are all like quotes you hear from people. Yeah.
Yeah, lifetime. I've never had that question, but I can only imagine how frustrated that would make me.
Like as a detailer, you're a lesser detailer because you don't offer a lifetime coating.
Yeah, you can't apply a lifetime coating, but it doesn't exist.
I mean, a lifetime coating, and I get like you run into marketing from companies, this kind of stuff. Yes, people get upset when they hear lifetime coating or even just like 8-year, 10-year, whatever time frame you want to throw at this. If they're saying that, usually, at least the reputable ones, they have some like lab tests to back up, like a accelerated weathering kind of test, that kind of stuff. They can prove to a certain degree that it should be able to handle these things, but there's no test like the real world.
Yeah.
And granted, when I see some of these YouTubers doing real world testing and they're like throwing acid at their paint and doing these crazy things, that's not really real world either. That's like torture testing, in which case, okay, you call it a torture test, then fine. But that data is not, that data is just not as meaningful as real world, long term, regularly maintained the way a customer might maintain a coating longevity results. And that's the hard part, is like to get all those factors just right over a long enough period of time for it to be accurate. you just don't have a lot of data points to work off of because people aren't keeping track usually.
Well, it's very hard to like disprove a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because like, what are you going to do?
It's all anecdotal at the end of the day,
years?
unless it's all like conducted by the same person with just. Because let's be honest, the second the customer leaves with the coating on their car, they can say they did things one way, but how do you know that's what they actually did? You don't. Maybe they did. Yeah. And you can kind of tell based on like how the car looks when it comes back to you in a year, kind of what happened to it. But you still don't know the full story.
Yeah. Like if I do a full correction
and
I coat it, right? And they come back, let's say a year, 2 years later, and they're like, oh, I've been hand washing it, or I've been going to a pay and spray, which is a little bit better. And then you put a light on it.
Yeah.
And it's how it was when you first did it. I don't believe you.
No. And it's like, it's not a slight against anybody for that kind of thing. It's just, you got to go with what your eyes are telling you, what your ears are telling you, and what, the sensory stuff. When you feel the surface, you can kind of feel the contamination, all that. What's this thing been up to for the last year? So, yeah. And like, if your customer tells you approximately like where they live, like if they're close to like a rail yard or something, like there's all kinds of variables you can account for. But it's still going to vary. And so this is why it gets so frustrating with people frankly, on both sides of the coating longevity argument. It's because people will do the whole hype versus anti-hype thing. And it's like, well, you're both just being hyperbolic for no reason other than to make your egos feel better. And I'm sure that's going to upset some people. But the fact of the matter is, like, I get people get frustrated by marketing, but also the response sometimes is super outsized compared to like the offense that was caused in the first place. The real world experience is just talk to a detailer, see what they said their experience was with a given product. And if you don't like what they have to say, ask someone else who used the same product and you might hear something completely different. I mean, it's a numbers game. You don't know. But best thing you can do is make sure it's actually relevant. So like somebody who's in a similar climate to like where you're at, like in terms of humidity, temperatures, regular, precipitation, that kind of stuff. Those are all things to factor in. Like if you live near the ocean, it's going to be a different time scale than somebody who lives, say, up here.
Yeah, or it's kind of just like in general, like, certain products work better in certain environments than others. Or like, I know like the bead maker and high humidity. I know there's like issues that some people experience with that kind of thing. It's just
for us up here, people still get mad that we say we like it because we do like it because it works great up here. But people are still going to be mad about it because they live in one very specific area where it just happens to not work for them. And you know what? That's okay. We talk about other products too. It's not the end of the world.
Luckily, we sell more than one brand.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but like, it's a big website. There's a lot of things to see on there at theragcompany.com. Check it out today. All right, moving along. We got Bill Pearson. Check him out. What's he saying?
Howdy, fellas from sunny SoCal. Finished my absolute wash and am ready for the fun. Glad to hear Anthony had the surgery and my brother went down the same path and regretted not getting the surgery sooner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Anthony, he was feeling hesitant about it at first because surgery sounds like this really intimidating
Surgery's
thing.
never fun, no matter what it is.
It's not going to be, I mean, you know a thing or two.
Old scar on my knee.
Yeah, what happened to you? I mean, you're sitting in the chair. What's up?
It was a freak ski accident. Your boy was doing a
little
crazy
aerial
old
action.
360, you know what I mean? Landed it. We're going to put that out there. Landed the 360, skied down like record. 20 yards or something like that. Went to go turn onto my left leg. Gave out right away. So I went to the ground, and right when I landed too, I felt and heard like the good old pop. So like I felt it. It was like my first thought right on impact was there's no chance I tore my knee. And then when it gave out on me and I went to the ground, I tried to like lift my leg with my ski, and I was just sitting there for a sec, and there was just nothing happening. And I was like, yeah, I tore my knee, and I was with one of my buddies, and he like skied down. He's
Have
like,
you ever done that before?
No,
it's first time ever having. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
I mean, I've also had a laceration the year prior.
Ooh,
but
yeah.
That one was only like 5-week recovery.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I was able to still ski same season.
Yeah, fair.
But
hey, you're getting after it, man.
Yeah.
You're out there doing it. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
I get it. I used to race. Believe it or not, I wasn't always this big, guys. Like, there was a time where I was actually very athletic. I need to get back to that.
I'll be back up there next year, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I can join you on the slopes sometime here. That'd be kind of fun.
Company TRC bogus day.
Heck yeah, that'd be sweet.
Let's make it right now.
All right, calling it. Give me like 2 years. Neil White says, "What's up, TRC? Hope you're all doing well. Right back at you, Neil. Appreciate you." And William Pope with the "I found someone who will do it cheaper." Classic pet peeve. Somebody like they'll just fight you on price, and then at the end they just go, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go this other place. It's cheaper."
Okay,
it's like, yeah, but did he do a good job?
Yeah. Why'd you want a different detailer?
Yeah,
you
like
know what I mean?
you came over here for a reason, presumably. So
that's just
what's
Nextdoor app right there.
Dude, I want you to talk about the Nextdoor app.
Oh,
let's answer Jeff's question here first, but I want you to talk about Nextdoor because you're using that as like an advertising platform for detailing services, and it actually works for you.
Yeah.
My experience with Nextdoor is just like whiny HOA types all complaining to each other constantly, and people screaming gunshots ? Like, oh my god, I think there were gunshots.
Missing pet.
That's like half of it. But yeah, no. Other than that, seems like there's some detailing going on. So hold that thought for a second. We'll get to that. But I want to talk about Jeff C's here first.
Jeff C. Has anyone here needed to send in a Rupes cordless in for warranty repair? Do I need to send in the batteries and the charger too? So it depends on the issue. I would reach out to Rupes for clarification, depending on what your specific issue is. In my Rupes polisher has never had any problems, so I can't speak to like that exact thing. But as far as the batteries and the charger, I've had a couple customers that I've had to do warranty repairs for, and I think it was batteries and charger. So I don't know if that helps.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, if your issue extends to charging issues or battery issues, it seems like kind of a no-brainer situation there. But if it's just you're asking because you're having a problem with the tool, but you wonder if you need to send in the battery and charger just so they can verify that, I think knowing how they have like processors in the devices that use batteries and that kind of thing, they'll want those because they'll want to know if it's like communicating properly.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to factor into it. I would err on the side of yes, you will need to send those as well.
It's better to be safe than sorry too.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they're like what they're going to not send you your batteries.
Right.
Back?
Yeah. You'll get them back. But yeah, the experience that I usually hear, like, ooh, wrong pipe. Anthony and Levi, when they talk about having dealt with like any kind of Rupes warranty stuff, our experience is basically haven't really had to do anything to repair our Rupes tools. They held up, but Levi used his for such a long time. He had a LHR 15, I think it was, possibly 21.
He had to replace the cord,
like
didn't he?
Old school. He had to replace the cord, some other things. He did like basic maintenance on it himself, but back when Dylan used to work there, he would always tell us, like, man, it's a really good deal. You just send your tool in. It basically gets refurbed for, like, I don't recall exactly what it was. It was like $150, $180, something like that.
It's actually, I think it's lower than that.
Lower than that?
I believe, so 1 year warranty repair is free, no cost.
Yeah, I'm talking about, like, old tool, out of warranty.
So
you
past
can send
1 year
it
warranty, I think it's 110 flat rate repair.
Oh, that's not bad.
And then it might go up though, depending on like what
depending on the tool.
But the flat rate repair cost is 110, I believe.
Cool. Okay, well that helps a lot then. In this particular case though, because he's talking about a tool with a battery and a charger, it's a little different than the ones I've had experience hearing about. So that's something you're definitely just going to need to talk to Rupes about. But yeah, to answer your question, do include the batteries and charger just to be on the safe side because they all have to communicate with each other, and if they plug in a different battery and charger, it might not give them the data they're looking for when they're verifying your issues.
Or like if you send in the tool without the batteries and it's a battery issue, not a tool issue, then there's kind of no way to really.
And I feel like that one speaks for itself as a But no, I don't want to be mean to anybody doing that. It's just, you don't know unless you explain that part. So anyway, I want to hear about Nextdoor.
Nextdoor.
Yeah. So for those who aren't familiar, can you kind of explain to the audience people who are lucky enough to have never experienced the hell on earth that is Nextdoor?
So here's what I'll say about Nextdoor. If you're a detailer wanting to get some more business, might be a good option to look into. If that is not your thing, you're just, doing your own cars,
stay far away.
Stay far away from Nextdoor. It is the worst. I don't even know how to explain it.
It's like worse Facebook. It's like Facebook meets Tumblr, but it's all homeowners who complain about everything.
Yeah. But as far as the
the nosy lady who spends all her time looking out her window all day and like thinks everyone is suspicious.
Or taking pictures of like little kids running around the street. If this is your 11-year-old kid,
yeah.
blah, 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 they need to talk him to.
Somebody drove down the street like too fast. They were driving too fast and it was too loud when the person was like going the speed
Somebody
limit.
was driving down the street at 11 o'clock. It's like, well,
Can you tell we have opinions about it?
I don't like next door people.
It's common. But as a tool for detailing, as a mobile detailer yourself, you found it actually helped you a little bit with your business.
It did. So here's the thing about Nextdoor is aside from the 99% of posts that are just people complaining,
hot garbage.
Every once in a while, you get people, if you scroll through, it's pretty regular, but you get people asking about generic services like, who would you recommend for a concrete guy or pressure washer, window cleaning, detailer, things like that. So for me, personally, I kind of have like a copy and paste like template response that I use. So if I see those, does anybody know a good detailer? I'll just go in, throw my comment in, and then of course you'll see, 10 comments of everybody shouting out their person or themselves shouting themselves out. And then what'll usually happen is they will most likely go down that whole list of comments and they will DM everybody.
Yeah.
And look for the best price and whatnot. But what helps is that at least from what I've seen, most of the people that are like advertising services on Nextdoor, it's their personal accounts or they don't have posts. So like for me,
okay.
I cross like if I make like a generic Instagram before and after post, like not like reels, the reels and stuff, I kind of keep that for,
Sure.
Instagram. But like as far as just like generic before and after photos,
pictures,
if you keep up on your Nextdoor page, because that will keep coming to people. And if you're consistent with it, people will see your business and see your personal posts of like, hey, I just did this person's car, blah, blah, blah. They're more likely to reach out to you just because it's like if that, does that make sense? Like, they're just like, oh, he's keeping up with it.
You're just more visible because of it.
Yeah.
So you're saying like you have kind of like is it a profile page or is it like a business profile page? You're saying it's personal.
So for me, you make a personal account and you can set up a business account too. And that'll get you like analytics. People can favorite your business and that puts you more into a spotlight, things like that. So there's a lot of like useful tools as far as the business side goes of it.
Okay.
But
cool.
Yeah.
This is news to me, even though I've been part of that, that app, just looking occasionally, because every once in a while there is a good post. Most of it is trash, though. I'm going to say most of it is trash. But I hadn't considered detailers using it as a way to get business. And according to you, you're having decent luck with it. Yeah. So I imagine there are others out there too. Or if you're not, you should consider it.
And I will say it's not... It could, depend on a lot of different factors, where you are, how competitive detailing is in your area. But for me, I know like it took a while. Like I had a business account.
Okay.
I don't remember when I started it, but I started it later than my personal. But the business account, like when I'd start posting and then like over time, I get like more consistently like inquiries and whatnot.
Okay.
Whether they close or not, that's depending on the situation.
Sure, you probably have to go through a lot of junk before you actually lock down a real lead.
Yeah, there's a lot of messages of me getting left on red.
Okay,
sure. But
is it usually after you tell them the price?
Yes, 100% of
like
the time.
Every single time.
Hey,
that's
blah
what
blah blah. How much for this? Here's a generic like starting price. Like here's a list of services.
They're expecting like a 2-digit cost.
Yeah,
instead of
pretty
a
much
3-digit cost. Oh wow. Yeah, well, you know what? At the same time, those are customers you probably didn't want anyway. So
that's true.
being a little selective is not a bad thing.
No,
but goes both ways. Anyway, bringing up Exodus FX here. What's he saying, Lucas?
Finishing a detail, doing the final wipe down, then the owner immediately starts rubbing their hands all over the car when they see it.
Oh,
I have a client that does that. Like
Wait, like every time?
Every time. Every time.
Have you said anything, or is he just doing?
No, I never say anything, but it's more like
it's your car.
Like that, and it's like walking around, maybe like find that one little thing, or like PPF all over it. There's like a little chip, and they're scratching it.
And they focus on it.
Looking at things to touch up. It's one of these moments for sure. You see him look at something, and then I instantly grab a towel.
With him, it's not a, oh my God, it's so clean, it's so shiny, I love it. It's more of a, I'm looking to see where I can get you.
A little nitpicky.
Okay. But I mean, he must be a good
client
anyway.
Like even this last dude I had like last weekend, forgot what, Honda CRV or something like that.
Okay.
And, wiped it down. The first thing he does is walk straight up to the door, start putting the back of his hand slide. And he's like, "Oh, dude, this paint's slicker than snot." I'm
back of the hand, like
it's better.
Unlike getting backhanded, a back of the hand to a car that's been freshly detailed is a more respectful way of doing that.
It's like
you're not putting your fingertip oils or like fingerprints on it. They're deliberately trying to not do that.
Yeah, still hurts me though.
But they still want to touch it. So yeah.
I mean, to be fair, when I finish doing my car, if I do a fresh coating job, I gotta give a little feel.
I mean, yeah, like knuckles, just like a little. You're like, oh, that is velvety soft. I love that. Yeah. I'm gonna say, just to obsessive people, I love how that feels after Beat Maker. Just a little.
Oh,
yeah, that feeling, it's good. It's real good. All right, moving along here, we've got Kevin Mendoza saying, "Hi TRC and everyone in the chat. My pet peeve is when a maintenance customer doesn't call me over a month and the car is bad and they still want the weekly maintenance price. I lost 3 clients. Oh well." Dude, how's that work for you?
So, like my really consistent client that we have right over here, the T3 guy, he very consistent, but he'll get to points.
T3 guy, he's got some nice cars.
He knows got some nice cars.
But RS6 Avant and a nice Range Rover. Yeah.
And he's got the Escalade. And
it's
nice. But but no, he's like super consistent as far as like scheduling and whatnot. But there's times where like, maybe he's doing something, or like there'll be a couple like extra weeks break or whatever. An extra amount of time goes by, and then it's like caked in bugs or things like that. It's like there's little extra things I got to do.
So they like took a trip or something.
Yeah, things like that, and then so it's just
that's
extra
understandable,
stuff
normal stuff.
Yeah.
But like, is that usually at most it's like a week or 2 off of the normal?
Yeah, I would say at max maybe a month.
Okay,
maybe.
That's not too bad. Would you still give him the consistent price as a result?
But he's really, as far as like I'm cool to like look at the car and be like, hey, there's a lot more bugs than there usually. Like I'm gonna have to do a bug removal, or I'm gonna have to pre-treat blah blah blah. And all right.
Yeah, it's like not outright scolding, but it's kind of like this isn't
it's like this isn't
job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like somebody who's cool with it, who's consistent, they'll be like, you got me. They understand. So, no, that's good. So, I'm happy to hear that worked out. Because I remember when you were first starting, you were kind of like, I don't know if this is going to be a regular thing or if it's a one-off. But, no, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, sometimes just walking up and leaving a card ain't such a bad thing.
Yeah, but actually, it took me 2 business cards.
Yeah, it took you a couple. I remember that.
Not knowing that they were all his cars.
Oh, right. You kept going up, not realizing. Yeah. Different car every time, even though the theme is like they're all like blacked out.
Yeah, they're all just...
murdered out. Yeah. What's Dodie here saying?
When they leave strollers, golf bags, and just random stuff that I have to pull out.
Oh, yeah, when you're doing the whole like housekeeping, spring cleaning for the person.
Or like, big one that I didn't even think about this. Middle consoles that aren't cleared out and like jockey boxes. And if they expect them to be cleaned.
They're expecting you to like spray and brush it out, which means like all those documents,
everything,
random chapsticks, sunglasses. It just random stuff, business cards, gift cards.
Yeah. It's like, I don't feel right. Like, who am I to throw certain stuff away? It's like,
let's be honest, there's some like real personal stuff that people leave in there that they don't even think about. And obviously you feel a little weird rummaging through it, but in order to clean it, you kind of have to. So like, I remember, just speaking on behalf of Levi here, I remember when he talked about in their shop, they'd have like competitions like so you could clean up the inside fastest, like get all the stuff picked up and whatnot, but they would like collect them in bags and then they hand that bag over to like the customer at the end of the detail, be like, here's all the stuff we picked up.
I usually try to do that with like little things or like pens, change, things like that. I usually put in like a little Ziploc.
I mean, I hear about people leaving even like rings and jewelry and stuff in there, like things you got to be like real careful with.
I found like under seats too. I found like earrings, makeup,
I bet there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, because once it's there, people forget it exists.
Exactly. If you don't see it, you don't think about it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at least in the case of a chicken nugget, it eventually smells disgusting, and you'll notice that.
Or some moldy fries.
Jewelry isn't going to do that. So yeah, that's a little different animal. But the strollers, golf bags, all that. David Boyce.
Dang nabbit, I'm old. I'm 64 years old. The old social media I'm on is Instagram. No Facebook or X. Still tap dancing on your head, Dane, with love.
That's funny, dude. No,
I'm not even on Twitter, to be fair.
Facebook, he calls it fake book. Facebook, if you look at the numbers, that's actually where most of the older audience is. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Generally speaking, like Instagram tends to be like millennials crossed with some boomers and occasionally Gen Z, depending on what it is, more on like the short form video stuff. But with Facebook, like it's millennial and then it skews heavier towards like the boomer demographic now. So there's a lot of that too. I know Gen Z looks at me like I'm ancient if I mention Facebook. So I realize in the case of a lot of our audience, though, we're talking mostly to people in their mid-20s up into their like 60s, even 70s sometimes. So and beyond even. But that's a pretty broad demographic at that point.
I'd say my age group, Facebook is for marketplace.
And for perspective, what's your general age range?
I'm 21, so
okay, so yeah, you're definitely on the younger side as far as like everybody watching is concerned. So take everything into account, he says, as a result of that.
Everything I say, I take with a grain of salt.
But I will say, respect his abilities as a detailer. This guy's earned it. He's doing work out there for real. All right, and next up, secret squirrel message test from TRC. Interesting. Demo 1000. Afternoon, Dane. Haven't seen you guys much lately. Hope you guys are doing well. Demo, we do the Q&A as much as we can, but in the last week or two, we did have some points where it's just like people didn't line up, people weren't available, and there were holidays and other things. So it got, lost in the mix, but we're doing it today, even though the guys are out. Like, I got Lucas here. You and I are having a grand old time. We're doing a good job
well,
here,
I would say.
if I say so myself. I think we're carrying it just fine.
Heck yeah.
So, thanks popping in, Demo. Next up, David Boyce remembers Audi 4000 and 5000. That's right, yeah. So, we're back when they were just calling their cars like a number and 1000. It was just back in the late 80s, early 90s. What page am I on here? We're going to page 2. See, I'll never get used to this thing going backwards. Okay, a ton of people talking to other people. Neil here wants an update on All Day. I think he means Anthony. All Day. Remember, we talked about this. All Day, no surgery.
Yeah, we don't know.
Anthony, surgery. So he is
currently
in recovery mode.
Like half day Anthony, kind of.
Yeah. He's like part day.
He's like evening Anthony.
He's like, part of the day is a fancy drink with an umbrella in it, but then the other half is like really diligently writing something on a computer.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. So with him, it's on his phone. But yeah, no, it's definitely that. So no, he's getting better, but this week he's not coming in because recovering from back surgery now. However, he did tell me, like pretty much right after his surgery, he said it wasn't so much like the pain limited thing. He was able to stand up and move. So like his leg wasn't weird anymore. The sciatic stuff he had been experiencing seemed to shift. So like he wasn't having those issues. So it sounds,
he's on the road.
Fingers crossed. It sounds like it did a lot in a positive way. Spencer. Ooh, here we go. Here's some answers to your questions.
To polish and coat, it's around 1% to 2% of what it's worth. So 700,000 combines, 7K. 100 ml bottle can do about 3. That's actually more than I expected, to be honest.
Yeah, actually.
The graphite in that coating makes it spread super far and thin. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because we're talking about like on a lot of the farm implements, industrial equipment, the finishes on those is usually single stage, or is there a lot of powder coating? I'm just curious, like what the typical finish would be like on those.
You'd know better than me. I would assume it's single stage.
That's what I'm assuming. Yeah. It's just like, I mean, they literally at the store sell tractor paint in a can, and I've used tractor paint to paint some brake calipers before because it's old, reliable, can handle high heat and all that stuff. It's not the prettiest, but darn if it doesn't work.
Looks good for a little bit too.
Yeah, and if you coat it, I imagine it gives you a little bit of that luster you would get from having a clear coat over something. So hey, you know what? There's an appeal there. And I bet the reason they're into getting their stuff coated, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Spencer, but a big reason those folks who are getting their like big industrial equipment coated is because they don't want, wheat, grass, other things like sticking to the
Right.
implements and sticking to the vehicles. They just want them to look cleaner for longer. So that's probably the main appeal of a coating, is just stuff not sticking to
And
it.
maybe also just so it doesn't like if it is single stage or whatnot, just so it doesn't look so worn or faded over time.
Yeah,
just to
and
keep it
prevent
looking
prevent
new,
deterioration. I imagine like UV in particular is something, because I mean you're working all day out in a field.
Yeah.
The sun is beating down on you the whole time. So I mean, even if you're in the machine's the one taking it. So yeah, it's still facing up against that. Let's see. He also follows up.
Added bonus of a thinner coating is improved tensile strength.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Nice. $1.2 million sprayer is $12K and so on.
Okay, so he's talking about like individual tools
man,
and
that'd be
stuff on
crazy.
these. I mean, in case you forgot what some of this like really hardcore, like big farm industrial equipment costs, it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's wild.
No,
but at the
farmers
same
have to put in
time,
a lot of money, dude.
yeah, no kidding. And I imagine margins are pretty tight on a lot of
Yeah.
stuff when you're working out there. And like, I get watching like Clarkson's Farm or something. It's like, boy, when things go bad, they go bad.
How about the farmers?
Didn't get the crop we wanted this year. Great. I guess we're all going to be poor now. It's just,
For
it's
the
a
whole
rough time.
till next year.
Yeah,
till next
that
harvest.
is hard. So massive respect to the people out there doing that, because that is not easy. Yeah, so 12K. So I get it. So basically, as far as like a numbers game goes, you don't have to do too many to make a decent living off of that kind of work. But I imagine it is a ton of work just coding something so massive.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. No, that's why I want to interview you, because that's so interesting and unusual, at least in terms of like the detailers I usually talk to. We're talking about like cars and trucks and
Yeah.
stuff. This is something totally different.
I'm actually I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. So I think it'll be cool. So anyway, yeah, want to throw that out there. So we got him on the docket and the calendar. I penned him in. We're
Nice.
gonna get him in there. Neil here. What's Neil saying?
What's y'all's go-to stay hydrated in the heat? Mine is BioLite.
Oh, BioLite. Some people like Pedialyte. I don't like the flavor of Pedialyte.
Oh, Pedialyte's great. But probably Red Bull. No, I'm just kidding.
That's going to be a terrible time.
Water. I like liquid IVs.
Liquid IVs are pretty popular
They
now.
got the new like the popsicle flavor.
Yeah,
It's phenomenal.
yeah. You're like, I am a connoisseur.
Yeah, I'm
I
quite the liquid
try
IV
many
specialist.
different kinds, and let me tell you, that is it. I mean, I got my Gatorade Zero here. Like, I don't want the sugary stuff. Like, I'll
Yeah.
take the zero ones, but I understand full well that when you drink that stuff, it's kind of intended to make you more thirsty too at the
In a
same time.
way, yeah.
So drink a lot of water too. You always see me carrying around this flask, and that's for good reason. While my other health habits may be, let's just say, a work in progress, I drink a ton of water. I drink so much water, and it's because of this guy coming with me everywhere.
Yeah.
Even on my road trip I took, it was
Water's
right there
great.
with me. Yeah. So anyway, water's king. Umberto here. Want to talk humidity? We have over 75% daily, and some days over 90%. Well, that's Puerto Rico for
That's
you.
pretty high humidity.
That is just walking through a pond. That is in the air. Kevin, what's Kevin saying?
TRC needs to make a microfiber sweatband. Imagine equal edgeless 500 gracing your forehead, so soft until you're burning alive.
Now,
don't know.
granted, you haven't been here long enough to know this, perhaps, but back in the day, we did have sweatbands.
Did we?
No joke. We had sweatbands.
Nice.
This would be back in like 2015, 2016. We did have them, but eventually we ran out and we didn't get any more because it was just kind of an oddball item that we carried. And we're like, it's not the fastest seller. And like, really, what's the demand here from us for these? Like, maybe if you buy from like a Nike shop or somewhere else, I get it. But from us, I don't generally think of us as like a sporting goods supplier. So, but there's always room. I give it a chance.
Hey, we got sport and workout towels. You could probably tie
Yeah,
that
we've
around
got the
your head,
workout
you know what I mean?
towels. That's true. So when it comes to the spa stuff, though, we definitely have you covered on the spa front. It's just the workout stuff. May go back into the sweatbands. Let's see if we can get enough demand here. I know it's getting
What about
so
some
toasty out
bandanas?
there. Oh, full bandanas, microfiber. That might be kind of hot, though. You think?
It doesn't have to be microfiber.
Unless you soak it and you just
That
let it
too.
be soaked, and then you wrap it around your head, and everywhere you go, it's just kind of like flopping.
And you have to wash it with rags to riches.
Right, yeah, no, keeping it its nicest. Let's see. We got Super Auto here. Dane, are you still getting in your daily steps goal? It may not look like it, but I am close. I'm just not quite where I need to be. I need to do it more often. Frankly, I totally dialed it back because of the heat, but still, that's no excuse. I got a treadmill in my house. I should be doing it. I'm not. I need to up my game. Fully true right there. David Boyce. We've got Umberto. Auto HQ did a phenomenal job explaining the GSM and drying towels yesterday. She's a great grand ambassador for the rag company. Yes. Awesome. Auto HQ is great. Also, she's in the UK, which means she probably doesn't have an air conditioner unit. Then again, maybe she does. Maybe like a mini split or something.
Is that a thing over there?
She got a nice... Most of the homes, though, and most of the like residential, even industrial buildings I've seen over there did not have AC.
Really?
In all the times I've gone over the UK. In more modern hotels, yes, those places will have it. But if you go to a place that's like maybe last remodel was in the 90s or the 80s or something like that, and most of the homes, they don't have it. It's a weird feeling because you're so used to it just being a thing over here. Yeah. And then you go over there and you're like, oh no, the only place I'm getting AC is in the car. So it's interesting. But I'm sure somebody will butt in and say, actually, there's a lot of them in my town. But I just, based on my experience going through the countryside and stuff, most places didn't have.
So we just got a bunch of sweaty people walking around the UK?
Well,
is that what
I noticed was during like the heat wave back in, 2018, something like that, they ended up buying like those little portable AC units and plugged them into the windows and stuff. But, like, they weren't used to it. So it was kind of a different experience. And it's humid, too, because, you're an island.
Yeah.
So that's a bit rough. Ooh, Alex Dewar here. My biggest pet peeve is hard water.
Can't avoid that here, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, no, it's true.
Rinseless is the good friend of people here in Boise.
Yeah, no, we know a thing or two about hard water. So we have our spotless water supply back there. Currently unhooked because they're doing a bunch of crazy stuff to the studio, but it'll be back before too long because honestly, we kind of need it around here unless you're using a good high quality rinseless wash that has water softening properties, such as Optimum No Rinse, something along those lines. But, something to think about. Yeah. And on that note, we're going to take ourselves a brief little break here, but we will be back after these messages, so don't go too far and keep those questions coming. We'll see you on the other side. Hello, and welcome back to the second half of Q&A Thursday here at the Rag Company Podcast YouTube channel. And I'm Dane Hennon, you knew that part, host, of the Rag Company Podcast. But to my left, I've got Blaine, Lucas from Customer Service, as he's known. What's your business name? You actually detail as well.
So my business name is Diamond Tough Detailing, so you can find it on Instagram.
I noticed the diamond there on your leg. So yeah, you got the diamond thing going. But no, you actually detail, so it makes sense to have you here in the room with me, not only answering customer service questions in your regular day job, but also here in Q&A when the guys are out. So I'm happy to have you here. We've been having a fun conversation about all kinds of detailing pet peeves, stuff that just kind of, just rankles you up a little bit, annoys you. It's just something about somebody says something that's like super cliche when it comes to detailing, or it's a particular thing you run into. We've heard a lot. We've heard everything from boogers to trash to my next to you name it. But I don't know. Have you thought of any others that just kind of bug you, that are something you've run into on a semi-regular basis?
I don't know. I'd say kind of like what we've already talked about. Just kind of like the usual cliche kind of things. it's not that bad, things like
right,
that.
yeah. You brought that up a few times, so I feel like that's one in particular that haunts you a little bit. Is that it's not that bad?
That one haunts me. That's going to be the death of me, Dane.
Okay, yeah.
I will say, this is a very niche one. I don't know why it just popped in my head.
Hey, you know what? That's what we're here for. What's your niche one?
This happened to me for the first time about 2 weeks ago. Using my MTM, got my gun on my pressure washer.
Yeah.
Going to fill up my bucket a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
O-ring shoots out of the end of the gun.
Whoa.
So now I don't know where it is, and I got to go find O-rings, blah, 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 swap those out.
Yeah, that's not
It's
great.
a whole process.
Gotta fish it out. I mean, that's specific, but I think that's definitely something that's happened to somebody else who's watching, maybe
It's not
listening.
a good time. Or
So,
the O-ring, like just taking in and out fittings, foam cannons and stuff, and the
Yeah.
O-ring gets adjusted a little bit. That's happened to me multiple times. And I pull the trigger, and all of a sudden, got water spraying everywhere. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
to that point, I mean, yeah, so properly securing like your hose for a pressure washer, big deal because leaks suck.
Yeah,
Teflon
terrible.
tape, etc. I mean, use it where you gotta. But no, that and like actual pressure washer nozzles, like if they're not fully seated, if they're not properly secured, I have
off the
seen
end of
those
the
things shoot off like a bullet, put a dent in a car, all kinds of nightmare stuff. So that's why you always, after
Spray the
installing a
ground
new
first.
tip, even if you didn't install it, especially if you didn't install it, but someone else said they did, point it away from the vehicle, do a test pull, and if it's still on there, then you're probably okay. I mean,
Knock
you
on
can sit
wood.
there and like.
Hasn't happened to me yet, though.
Yeah, knock on that wood because you never know. But I've seen it. I mean, it's happened to the best of them. I've
Have
seen
it fly through a
Anthony
headlight
do
real
it.
quick.
Levi talked about it happening before. Like, it's happened. So yeah, just point somewhere else. So if you ever see that, like you're watching a video of a detail and you're like, why is that guy with the pressure washer? Why is he always pointing it away down at the ground or like away from the car? And then he goes,
It's a
and then
safety
he
precaution.
goes and sprays the car. It's because he's checking. That's
Kinda
why
like-
that happens.
Kind of like
you're
with the
new to
drill,
this.
where you have to do the double click before you actually use it.
Right, yeah.
Just gotta make sure
I
it's
just
working.
always figured that was just kind of a dude thing.
I think it
Or
is.
just like you just wanna.
You have to.
or like if you have like a little Bic light or something like that, you can't not just
You
like
just have to
flick
sit
it
there
a
and do
few
it. It's like a
times
fidget.
just cause. It's just one of those things. Like you got to do it. Or like if you have like a couple of knives or a knife and a sharpener, and you just got to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, totally. Anyway, or tongs. Oh, with tongs, it's always like clink clink.
Oh, yeah.
Classic grilling dude behavior.
You gotta like undo what keeps it closed. You gotta pull that little tab, then.
Oh, totally. Yeah, yeah. You got to make sure they work like they're supposed to. I mean, obviously we all know they're gonna, but there's just something really feels good to
Yeah.
just do that, and
100%.
it works out. Anyway, moving on. We've got Exodus here. Otherwise, I'm gonna get lost in all these little like cliche, silly things. Dane rocking those hoochie daddy shorts. Thank you. Yes, I'm enjoying my hoochie daddy shorts. Truly, they're not that short until I'm sitting in this chair, and then it just looks ridiculous.
Hey, I'm sitting in the same boat with you.
It's the price we pay for comfort. Like when I picked these chairs out, I did it because I was trying to deal with like a confined space, but I wanted something that felt like a big chair. So my compromise was narrow chair but deep.
I like that.
So then we ended up having to stuff a bunch of pillows behind us because it turned out it was too deep. But hey, in an off day, come in here, curl up, read a book.
Heck yeah.
You're good. Rick Smith. What's Rick saying? Shout out to Foam Town, USA Tiny Brush Action. Thank you, Rick. Always shouting out those products. Appreciate it. Alex Dewar here saying lifetime coatings last as long as Dane's forever cars. Woof. Sometimes
quote. Put it on a
sometimes they don't even last that long. You just have to see. Bill Pearson, what's he saying to me?
Dane, I have to agree with you about the trash. I can't for the life of me get my wife to take her trash out of the car. I could probably fill the tank with all the change on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, it depends on who you talk to, just don't even have cash anymore, but we still kind of have change either for parking meters or like a coin op car wash or something. Like somehow you wind up with some spare change anyway. It's like every car, it's just a requirement. You have to have some loose change in there. Doesn't matter if it's new or old or whatever. It's just there's always going to be like a few pennies or dimes or nickels, quarters, whatever. But anyway, I totally feel that. No, when I was referring to trash cars, like I'm not going to name names here necessarily, but there was a girl I knew who in college she had a station wagon, and it was not just a little trash. It was literally swimming in trash. Like every seat besides the driver's seat had a foot deep or more, just like mail and clothes, and it's just like an entire dorm room just barfed into that car, filled out the space, and it found equilibrium distributed throughout the entire vehicle, except for a scooped out section that was the driver's seat. Like everywhere else, it was down to the footwell and then up to like the belt line where the window starts. Everywhere else, and I'm just looking, going, how do you live like this?
Yeah. I'm sure everyone's seen a car like this in like a parking lot. I remember I used to be a cart pusher for Walmart, and there'd be these two cars.
You and me both,
every
dude.
Day. And
yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
Now and once again, I'm saying that obviously sometimes folks run into a hard bit of life and they got to live out of their car. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about
same thing.
people who are not stuck in that, frankly, very unfortunate situation. And I hope things get better for you if you're in that situation, obviously, please. But for those who have the ability to not be like that, but do it anyway.
Yeah,
like,
that's
just kind of like a hoarder kind of thing.
Well, it looks like a hoarder house moved into a car.
Yeah.
Like it's a biohazard.
Like
seriously.
It's solid items, but they behave like a liquid in the way that they fill out the car like it's a container.
Or you get all the fast food things built up.
Yeah.
And you see bags and cups
it's so
just
bad.
everywhere. Like,
so bad. And
empty milk jugs.
Yeah, that was something like Levi on the Q&A would frequently bring up, like, when you get like an auction car or something where it's
I've
maybe
never had to deal with that
it didn't have the best life, and you're the guy who has to clean up like what's left, and it can get pretty nasty. So I understand if you want to tell us about an experience you had with that, throw it in the comments here. But hey, we're talking pet peeves, so bring them up if you got something that drives you nuts about detailing that just you can't seem to shake, or it makes your hair on your arm stand up when you hear somebody mention like a phrase or a thing. I want to hear about it. We're doing like talk radio style here. That's the fun of it. I'm trying something new. I think it's kind of fun though, so I'm glad you guys are playing along.
I'm enjoying.
Yeah. And let's see. We got a few old videos, they say. We got 2 Fresh Detail Studio. What's up, everybody? Sorry I'm late. I'm currently cleaning a caddy. Well,
get after it.
You got to do what you got to do. You got a job to do, and it's a caddy today. So enjoy. Hopefully it's not too bad, and hopefully you can kind of distribute your focus over here while muscle memory carries you over the detail. It's the best of both worlds that way. Next up, we got Bill Pearson. What's Bill saying?
I'd also have to agree with the sweat dripping onto my glasses. I had to clean mine 3 times this morning. Fortunately, I had a bucket of Absolute handy.
Yeah. No, I feel that. And Absolute, clean things up. That's the trouble, though. It's like sweat, it's salt water, so it's going to be like a little corrosive, but also when it dries, you have salt on the surface of whatever like you sweat on. So
this is kind of making me think, has anybody ever ran into, and I mean, this is kind of just a user error thing, but like, has anybody ever, you've been cleaning an interior and then like, let's say cloth seats, detailing cloth seats, sweat drips onto the cloth seats, and now you got a little sweat spot here and there.
And it sticks out. Especially on like those recycled cloth seats and stuff.
Or
where
like the
it's
super thick, like, can't really clean it kind of material, and then it's just in there forever.
Yeah,
it's a little
but like the kind that shows water stains really bad.
Yes.
Like a salt water stain is going to look that much worse.
That happened to me literally like last weekend. I had to
get
it all out.
Now this one's interesting. I don't know this one, so I'm just gonna defer to you, but maybe if somebody wants to double fact check that. Exodus here saying legally in California a lifetime warranty only has to be 3 years minimum.
That's crazy. Doesn't make sense.
Is that just like broadly speaking, or is that like in the automotive space specifically? I'm curious because 3 years. You think about how long people have traditionally on average owned a vehicle for, time span wise, and before they bought a different car, not necessarily a new car, but just like how long they sat on a car. And I realize that's rich coming from me, the guy who like cycled through. I mean, I'm on car like number 18
45
now.
like
No, I'm on 18. It's pretty bad.
63,
but it's pretty bad. But I mean, I'm 35 going on 36. So I feel like, no, that's my age, not the number of cars I had.
Like, are you serious?
So I'm like, the number of cars, it's not going to match my age yet. We're good. But anyway, I'm curious. Yeah, 3 years minimum. Interesting. Let's see. The ET chat, like the stream. Not quite sure what's going on there, Greg, unless you're saying you like the stream and you like the chat. I'm just going to choose to believe that's what you meant. But Greg, I see you commenting. I appreciate that. And I did put out a survey for people because, well, I guess this is a good opportunity to kind of like let you guys build up some comments and questions here while I kind of talk about this. So I have heard from a few people who like the new main show, and I see the main show is bringing in new people, which is something I'm really excited about. But this is kind of like a little inside baseball thing. There are people who miss hearing about our weekends and stuff and that kind of thing. And I understand, like, there's people who got used to that. And it was years of that, just kind of like a casual weekly conversation where it was very loosely tied to detailing. Like, it was mostly just kind of like personal anecdote stuff. And yeah, I get how somebody develops a bond with that. And I don't want to lose that entirely, which is why I kind of included a section like that at the beginning and end of like the new main shows where we do them, where we kind of still have like a little hangout, like talk,
a little banter here
and then banter, and then you go into the interview. But I think there's some people who miss like the live aspect and like how just informal and personal it felt and like relatable. And I get that. So what I'm trying to do, and this is something I'm going to talk with the team about tomorrow more in depth, but I'm just kind of like, just spitballing an idea of a way I can kind of give some of the folks who really like that a chance to experience some of that, like a weekly, just like, but shorter, like not as long as it was, but just shorter, but still live, maybe change it up, like just walking around, hanging out for a little bit, and it could just be a weekly thing. And it would just be low-key, but it'd be on the channel here, if that's something you'd be interested in. So if that's something that sounds appealing to you, whether it's like a mixture of personal and detailing, and it's just like Levi, Anthony, and I, and occasionally a guest or two, maybe walking around, we stand out in front of the buildings like old dumpster hang style like we used to, or we go over to the MVP storefront, which would be cool. Just mixing it up and having like a little chat with the audience and then just talking about stuff as it's relevant for the week. Yeah. I think that could be kind of cool and a chance to kind of give people maybe what they felt like they were missing. But by changing up the locations, I feel like that might make it more interesting to somebody coming in. Because the thing I noticed when I was looking at the data on the back end was that the show was good with the people who liked it, but there was like absolutely zero new people coming in. Like they just, either they felt alienated because there were so many inside jokes and that kind of stuff, and it just didn't feel like they could get into it because they felt like, oh, I got to go through all this old stuff to understand what they're talking about. I don't want it to feel that way. I want it to feel fresh every time. So this is just a way to kind of do that. Kind of like when we do our streams from SEMA or something. And it's just like you're walking around, you're hanging out, and it's relatable. And this is all like very high production quality, but this would be what I'm describing here as a new thing, just a weekly thing, would just be shot on a phone or something probably. Is that something you'd be interested in? If so, comment below, let me know in the chat, and pop over to the survey in the community tab here on the Rad Company Podcast YouTube channel. I want to hear what you have to say. So, by all means, let me know. It's something I'm interested in, and if you guys say so, it'll help me make a better case to the other folks on the other side of the wall. Just saying. Anyway, no pressure. We got Joey Belinsky here. What's Joey saying?
My pet peeve is having 40 plus viewers and only 18 likes. Let's get those numbers up.
Those are rookie numbers, son. Got to pump those numbers up.
Some of my numbers are...
Tell them, JV.
Defeats my ego.
Nah, we're not going to get too hung up on that. I'm just trying to find ways to appeal to more people while still keeping it fun for the people who like to hang out. Exodus here. Don't get me started on weird things you find in people's cars. Oh boy, Exodus. I'm sure you've got some stories the way you ellipsid ... dotted that one. The ellipsis is strong. Man, I'm on to page 1 already? Guys, come on,
guys. I need questions.
We need those detailing questions. All right. I like the pet peeves, but we got to blend them in with the detailing questions. Umberto here saying, Hippolito Campos, you can't never go wrong with Evo 5, Exo V5 probably, or Crystal Serum Light. Crystal Serum Light. Yeah, I like that. I feel like, Hippolito. I feel like he had a comment here that I just missed. There it is. Boom. Got it. Okay, so this one's important. This is him following up with the comment we discussed earlier. Now he's bringing some specificity to it. So,
about G-Technic, I would like to know the longevity and what's more friendly to use. Also, what's better for rims. Thanks. So EXO and CSL, I'd argue, are both extremely easy to use. Like, there's really, apply it, wipe it off, no problems. I've really never experienced any sort of like crazy difficulties with those coatings specifically. Even layering EXO on top of CSL,
it's
great experience.
An extremely popular, extremely reliable combo that tons of people have used.
And rightfully so.
And I really don't hear any people complain about it. I mean, I'm sure anything, given enough space, someone's going to complain about it. But I can't think of a time I've heard anybody say they didn't care for it. The only thing I would say when it comes to that combo is there are other coatings out there that are probably going to give you better longevity. But when it comes to the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it behaves with water, that is a killer combo.
Yeah, it really depends on what your personal wants and needs are for coating. So like if you like crazy slickness, gloss, and hydrophobics, CSL EXO is by far the best combo that I have used.
It's a real easy one to get into, and the results, if that's what you're looking for, then that's a great way to go.
The only downside I would say, and as far as to the rim thing, I would recommend, is it C5 wheel armor? C5 is their wheel coating. That's going to have a lot higher heat resistance, so it's just going to last longer on the wheels just because
it's intended for those really hot metal surfaces. Yeah. People use it on exhaust and stuff too, I've seen.
It goes for, so the wheel coatings you can throw on exhaust tips, and it's just the maximum amount of heat that it can, you know what I'm trying to say? Like
it can withstand a lot higher heat than your average coating. Granted, a lot of coatings, depending on their makeup stuff, like Diamond Protex coatings, for example, can withstand a ton of heat. Yeah. Like, it's not something people are generally thinking about, but they absolutely can. Just depends on the makeup. But, we got Jay's car channel here. It's Jay saying,
what's up, fellas? I'm sure this has been covered, but what the worst is when the customer says, it's not that bad, I keep it washed pretty regular, meaning they run it through the Swirl-O-Matic. Jay,
you and Luke are spirit animals.
100% with you. Let's hang out.
So, Luke, since you brought it up, so sorry if you prefer Lucas. I called you Luke shorthand. Maybe you prefer Lucas because that's all I hear other people call you. But what is your "it's not that bad" experience? Because you brought that up multiple times today. I feel like there's a story attached to it. Like, you don't have to name names, but just the car and what was up with it. What did they say it was versus what it actually was?
I forgot what car it was. I want to say it was an older Ford Escape.
Okay, so like small SUV?
Yeah.
Tiny SUV?
Small Ford SUV. It's not that bad. Borrowing the car from a family friend. I just want to make it look nice before I return it. I'm like, okay.
Well, that's nice that person is doing that. That's pretty cool. Because sometimes people borrow a car, they just give it back.
Exactly. And it's like, the great family friend, they keep it, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So what was not told to me is that before that car was being lent to borrow, it had been sitting for like 3 years.
Oh, so it's not really the person who used it that caused the car to be in the state.
Yeah, it wasn't their fault at all. It was, the car was right off rip, hammered. Like, I'm telling you, I had no exaggeration, opened the back left door, spider egg sacs in the door jams. I'm like, what's going on here? There's freaking
That's a car that sat in a field or like an open shed in the middle of a farm.
My theory was doing the car too, like based off of like where the dirt was and everything. Someone 100%, there's no other possible way, someone rolled down all the windows, probably opened all the doors and just tore down a field, like headliner, hammered everything, steamed the entire interior like 2-3 times with express, like grease all over the place, like it's a nightmare.
So it got a healthy heaping of everything.
Yes.
Yikes. Okay, I feel you there. Yeah, so it's not really the person who brought it to you's fault. It's
It was the way the car was stored.
the way the car was stored.
And then
Okay.
literally like 2 weeks before that, I had another barnyard car that I had to do, and it was similar situation. I would certain things were better and worse about each car, but
Okay.
I remember that one. It was just the upholstery was so dried out and frayed, and it's like kind of like the seats we were talking about, that like super thick material that doesn't clean very well. It's like I don't know what it is, but I probably should know that. It's like
the car guy in me hears that the
old truck
interior
cloth.
was like that, and it was all crusty and rough, and that tells me the hoses under the hood are probably in real bad shape too.
Probably.
Everything's probably drying out and cracking, and it's just a matter of time before you have like a massive coolant leak or something horrible go wrong, vacuum line breaks or whatever. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Jay follows up.
Because not only will the paint be swirled, but also brake dust will be layered. Yeah, that's another one too.
Mm-hmm. Then we got Neil White. TRC needs to do another slop talk.
Get on it.
Oh, that was popular with a very small audience, shall we say. Then Jay follows up here. Hey, Neil, you in the A? I'm in Alpharetta. Need to meet some like-minded folks who know their stuff. I met Brian Crosby up in Buford. He runs Detail Link. Nice guy. Okay, we got conversations back and forth. Okay, they're talking about being in Georgia, so that's cool. On to page 1. Next up, we got Superado here. I would imagine they want the finish protected from the chemicals they're spraying on their crops, too. That's a great point,
I think
Al.
about that.
Yes, definitely something to consider. Yeah, if they're spraying those chemicals onto the fields and stuff, you don't necessarily want it on the surfaces where a human's touching it regularly and all that. Although, what does that say about what ends up in your food?
That's a good point.
I mean, maybe it's not necessarily food. Maybe it's used for other things, but just, next up, we got Jay's Car Channel here. You ever go to any Cars and Coffee or anything? Maybe we could link up. Oh, they're still talking between each other. Man, I'm just like, oh, you asking me? No, they're talking to Georgia. Water, Powerade Zero, and Prime are my faves. All right. Well, we definitely got a bit of that.
Solid.
We've got First from Puerto Rico saying, Dane, you can ask Levi, Rennie, Lovato, Jason Rose, who have been here. All right. Well, yeah, those guys have all been there. Yes, David Boyce saying, Dane, Heather drives an MX-5 Mazda. Yes, that's Auto HQ he's referring to in the UK. She has an ND generation Miata, just like me.
Nice.
So that's cool. Another reason, great grandambassador. Definitely not biased whatsoever. Wait a sec. Okay, this we have to clap for when we get a super chat. Holy cow, Jays. That's really nice. Thank you so much, buddy. We haven't had a super chat in a minute, so that's very kind of you to do.
Shout out Jay's Car Channel.
Big appreciation from us to you. So thank you. Shout out TRC and super chats. Happy Friday Eve, fellas. Jays, we will use that for more podcast goodness. Don't you worry. David Boyce here saying, pet peeve, splashback when cleaning wheelbarrow hubs. Splashes in your face. Also interior rear windows. Ooh. Interior rear windows. That's
Interior
a good one.
front windshields.
Oh, the front windshield.
That's a pet peeve.
Okay, if it's a deep windshield, like if you're in a car that has a pretty upright windshield, not so bad.
Jeeps,
yeah,
like those are easy.
Like a Toyota FJ Cruiser or something, a Hummer, like stuff like that, not so bad.
But yeah, I see what you're. As soon as you get to those crazy slanted ones, you got to reach back.
But say, for example, you're working on my old Ford C-Max, which is an egg on wheels, and the windshield like goes out clear to the front of the car. Like the hood is not defined in the way you think it. It's just a big like weird egg shape. Yeah, no, that windshield was insanely huge compared to what you thought it would be, and that dashboard was like acres from front to back. And like minivans, now I'm thinking of those Dustbuster minivans that GM made back in the 90s. Oh, those are crazy.
Or some of like I don't know what year, I want to say like 2014-ish, like F-150s that have like the big old like storage areas on their dash.
Oh yeah, where it's like
so
actually
deep.
scalloped out so you can like set stuff up there. Yeah,
like those are kind of
and you think if you give people the temptation to set stuff up on their dash, they will, and then it's just another thing to clean. Yeah, so that's a good one. As far as the cleaning wheelbarrow hubs, I mean, that depends. Like sometimes you
Easy
get like the
detail
easy
brush.
barrel brush, something like that. You get like the little guard on it. It's not perfect, but it definitely tries. But I can see that. People are always asking
So
for
I
like
use those same brushes, and I feel
alternate
that.
version. Jeff, to close the loop on the Rupa's warranty question, they just got back to me. My issue appears to be a mechanical motor/gear issue, so they didn't want the batteries or charger. Rupa's service is great. See, that helps. So they cleared that up. Okay, see, yeah, without knowing what your actual problem was, it was hard for us to really decide one way or the other what the right move was. But you know what? Like, when in doubt, I think including the battery and the charger is just a smart move for anybody who is in that position and they haven't heard back yet. Consider sending back the charger and the battery, just because I know those have to communicate with the tool, and if they use their battery and charger, like somebody just pops a different one in,
Yeah.
it may not behave the same and they may not get the same problem they're trying to solve, depending on what your problem is. Next up, we've got David Cervantes. Man, it's been a minute since I saw you. What's up, guys? Sorry I'm late. Hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you, David.
too,
and I
David.
hope you do too. Let's see. We're on page 1, so I'm just cruising along on these, but hey, we're having a good time. This is all right. Neil saying some people are oblivious to messy cars, Dane. Gum stuck on the floor, fries under the seat, Coke bottles everywhere. He saw Levi's not here, so he didn't say Pepsi bottles.
Here's the thing about the fries under the seat. They're always under the seat, nowhere else.
Right, yeah.
100% of the time.
Because if there was a fry anywhere else, somebody already would have grabbed it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes like in between the little like pocket of death in between the middle console and the driver's seat.
Yep. The one I'm guilty of is sometimes a fry might try and like sneak under a floor mat or something, but that's a rare case. That's a
Gum
rare
on the floor is
case.
a
That's a road trip problem. That's not a everyday problem. Yeah, no, that's a good one. So are there any other spots you can think of that are just like things where you're like, how do you miss this? How do you let this happen? Or do you try not and be super judgy about it when somebody brings a car to you? Because
to give people
probably
the
not
benefit
great
of the doubt.
marketing if you tell them like, hey, bring your car to me. I'm going to judge you as a person.
I would say, nah, just like probably things that everyone like you know, like little cubby spaces, like in the like on navigation screens, they
Yeah.
might have like little sunglasses cubby or something,
Sure.
and there's like stuff in there that you can't clean because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
you can't get your hand in there to do a towel, you can't get a
Right.
brush back there. It's like or like cup holders that are super deep.
That becomes like a tweezers and Q-tips kind of situation where you really, if you're committed to it, like you can kind of get it, but
If I have to whip out my detail Q-tips, I'm already my mood's already been brought down.
well, to me, if you have to whip out the detailing Q-tips, I'm like, okay, that's going to be an extra $50 instantly. Like the fact you made me go get the kit is telling me that's
ever
a
seen, like,
that's a surcharge, buddy.
And like some older cars are like on the doors, so not like the door handle itself, but like
Yeah.
right on that little armrest area, there'll be like a
Oh.
little kind of like cubby that goes inside, and it's like super small.
Yeah,
For whatever reason, they always get so gunked up with all this stuff. and it's
Yeah,
like, those
I think a
hate
lot of
cleaning.
that, this happens, it's different too. Different eras of cars had different kinds of storage situations, like on the door pockets and stuff. I mean, obviously, you go back far enough, they didn't have any storage in the door pockets. But especially in like late 80s through the 90s and early 2000s cars, you had a lot of those like big, just like meant for holding a newspaper and random maps and stuff in the door pocket, big door pockets. People would put like liters of soda and stuff down there, and it would spill or drip a little bit, and then it'd start getting sticky. Next thing you know, because it's sticky and tacky, stuff would actually cling to it.
Yeah.
So you get like crumbs from something from a road trip, like some crackers, some corn nuts, some like dust from Cheetos, you happen to drive to the beach that day, guess some sand got in there, just all these opportunities for stuff to stick. But it all started with like when soda spilled a little bit, and then everything else followed. But yeah, that's usually what the story was with those. I don't know. In my experience, having seen a few of those in my day. Let's see. We've got Rick Smith saying, my pet peeve is waiting on the new Ultra wheel brush. Dude, you've been pushing that for a while.
Hey,
I hear you.
I'm with you.
Ya.
We need to get on that easy detail brush. Come on now.
Just gotta beat up Anthony more. I'm sure his back can take it. Gosh, yeah. And Ryan Rigdon here saying, love the casual talk idea, Dane. Thank you. Yeah, that was something that just came to mind as like a happy medium. Say like my hypothetical show would be like somewhere between 20 and 45 minutes of just using a phone, the guys and I walking and talking while going through like the aisles of the MVP store and pointing out something interesting and new and cool, or just talking about our weekends while walking around the campus and stuff. Just like very informal, and it's deliberately way lower budget looking than everything else, so that it can feel more relatable to people who maybe don't want or don't find the appeal in like a really polished thing like what we do on the other stuff. I get it. There's room for all those things, and I want people to feel comfortable watching our content one way or another. And hey, if you get one gets you in the door and then you find out the other ones actually are enjoyable, that's cool too. So that's my goal anyway. A dream, if you will. Neil here. Personally, I'd like to hear more about the biz side of detailing. Love the product talk, but rarely hear about the biz side. Well,
I agree, Neil.
I would say that's a good point. Now, I would say somebody who does an excellent job of talking about the business side of things. I see like Detail Groove, Oscar. He's always good on YouTube there.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's cool. He's always putting stuff out there for
cool.
that kind of audience, definitely. Ivan obviously always talked about business stuff to a great degree. Look back at like our old detox casts and stuff. Now he's doing the DIY thing, so there's a lot of that. But I know that's definitely appealing for people who run businesses. They want to hear more about that. I think for us, the reason, like, this isn't to say it's good or bad, it's just the reason maybe we don't bring it up as much is, apart from Levi, the business side of the experience stuff for us is just kind of like as a side hustle kind of business, like in the way that a lot of the guys here who do detailing, they have a lot of experience with the act of detailing, but like running a business, it's usually more of like, oh, I do mobile on the side for fun, like on the weekends, stuff like that. Like a lot of the guys here will do that, but it's not the same as like, this is my livelihood. This is my day job. I have to make sure the lights stay on. I got to keep people employed. Like there's differences in the way those things are handled. And Levi did do the shop side of stuff. Like he has experience in that. He could talk about that all day long. But as far as the others, it's just more relatable for the rest of us usually to talk about the act of detailing more so than the business of it, just because the relevant business stuff, while it can be evergreen and it's good, no matter when you talk about it, it still holds up. There's a lot of newer stuff that people are going through that, frankly, the experiences just differ, and maybe our advice wouldn't be the best advice to take on like a newer experience running a detail shop in the current climate, whatever that may be.
Right.
I'm kind of speaking broadly here, but I'm just trying to think, like, a lot of times we talk about products because, hey, we're a store. Like, that makes sense. We could carry new products. We could talk about what it does, all that kind of thing. And we can talk about how it would benefit a business, sure. But it's definitely not the same as, like, if you want to hear metrics about like balancing
like
your work-life balance, or like doing the sheets, you know, and that kind of stuff. That's definitely, there are other podcasts that are definitely great for that, but I wouldn't want to make any promises on our front that we would do something like that on the regular, just because it's not necessarily our resident expertise, other than maybe Levi could have something to speak to on that front. But I get it. I understand the appeal. I'm just saying, like, Oscar, Detail Groove, you know, there's other guys out there who do it as well that I've seen and thought were pretty cool. But
and this is kind of a little away from like maybe kind of what you're wanting to know, but like people like Detailers Roadmap, like they build really cool websites. They can give you, as far as information as like advertising your business. So there's like some marketing tools that you could use too.
And that's another hard thing is like when you go searching for like marketing advice and things, there's so much crap out there that you just have to swim through so much junk before you find the stuff that's worthwhile, and it's hard to tell the difference. And I'll see these things where they get tons of views, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of drilling going on behind the wall. There's like advice being given out that people will just all thumbs up, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. And then you actually listen to the advice, and it's like some of the most generalized, just not helpful. It's so vague, and it's just like, okay, I understand there's maybe somebody out there who like literally never even thought about detailing, and this is helpful. But for somebody who's like into it, it can get frustrating discerning like what's actually going to be a meaningful use of your time watching that particular content or not, because there's a lot of fluff out there that doesn't help. Anyway, sorry, I'm going way down the rabbit hole. I have a lot of thoughts on social media. Yeah, so moving beyond that, Neil, I hear you, man. I hear you. Let's see. We've got Anton. Yes, Anton here. The usual, my car is brand new, so should be an easy job. All right, doing his thing. Umberto here is saying, a car that anyone says is not that bad, those are the ones that are the worst.
Absolutely.
It's when Levi has the counter to that. He'll usually say, like, if he gets somebody who would come up and say, that's pretty bad, I don't know, and then he would see it, and it'd always be, like, basically already detailed.
Me and
it
Levi
was fine.
actually talked about this not too long ago. It was, like, it's the people that are like, it's not that great, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Those
sorry,
are the people
I just
that
need the help.
vacuum it up before they take it to you.
Yeah.
They take it through a car wash. I'm like,
they took
you
the
are
stuff
great.
out of the center console, did all that, No, there's definitely, like, put it this way. You ever hear the shopping cart test? I mean, we were cart boys.
Yeah.
So, it's the rule of, like, are you the kind of person
Can you
who puts a
self-govern?
shopping cart? Can you self-govern? It's like, okay, it's a little bit of a libertarian way of looking at it. But it's like, do you put the shopping cart away when you're done with it?
Absolutely.
Bro.
So off topic. Have you seen the cart narc?
No, but that's hilarious.
Never mind. I'll show you after this.
Actually, you know what? Is that the one who posts, like, pictures?
like he like runs up to people, like he'll block their cars. and stuff.
Okay,
Like,
I
he
have
takes
seen
their
that. I have
carts
seen
and,
that.
like,
Let me get that for you.
hilarious.
Yeah, no, that's something. It's like somebody who used to be a cart boy. I get it totally.
Oh, out of respect, I like have to. I'm like, see it because I
And
know
then-
what it's like.
And then to go like even more off base, did they try and like turn you into a cashier too? Dude, they did it to me. It was so messed up. I'm like, no, I'm not paid for that. What are you
No.
doing? Anyway, moving on. Someone says it's not that bad. Those ones are the worst. Yes, agreed. Rick Smith. I've had customers with really nice clean cars saying it's not that bad. It won't take long. Just trying to get a lower price because it's really not that bad. I still have a basic price. Yeah, I mean, that's something, is knowing your worth as a detailer.
100%.
We've talked about that a lot before, but like, speaking of self-governing, know when to say no.
Yeah.
Like, you're in a position to say no.
And it's hard,
To
and
a
especially
job.
like example. Let's say you're not detailing crazy amount of cars. Like let's say you only do a couple on the weekends,
And
you don't want to lose that opportunity.
yeah,
So it's like,
or if it's your livelihood and you're literally just taking all the jobs you can,
That too.
because if you don't, there's no guarantee another one's going to show up.
Yeah.
So
it's like you kind of want to take all
I
the things you
get
can
it.
get, but at the same time, there's times where you do have to just be like, I'm sorry. Just
have
can't
enough
do it.
self-respect to know when
Yeah.
to walk away. It's worth it in the end. I mean, on principle, yeah, you can't feed yourself on principle. I understand that you can't house yourself on principle, but there's a certain line where you just go, this person is
just not
literally
worth it.
just trying to take advantage of me right now, and I'm not going to stand for it.
Yeah.
All right, we got Kevin here. What's Kevin saying?
Lucas and Dane, do you choose the colors of your personal cars based on your experience detailing? I won't buy black or dark cars since you know how hard they are to keep clean.
I mean, it's a fair question, because there's something that's like the kind of person, even if you're not a detailer yourself, but you have like the mind now, it's been unlocked. You've seen and you can't unsee the world of detailing and
Yeah.
swirls and marring and scratches and drilling on the other side of his wall.
They're in the walls.
They're in the walls. But basically, when it comes to car color, are you picking a color of your car, or is it you're just trying to find, the best price?
Yes and no. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into it,
Yeah.
but I will say, there's nothing that looks better than a clean black car. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
much as I hate it, I've owned a black car. I hate doing black cars, but I love the final result
No.
of a black car.
When a
so
black
it's
car
like,
is in good shape and it's actually like taken care of, great.
Yeah.
Looks awesome.
phenomenal.
Really. And that can be almost any car, assuming it's like a good kind of metallic or glossy black, something like that. Looks real nice. The downside is it's a nightmare to keep it perfect all the time. So it's trade-offs. And,
Like, if you're
paint
somebody
quality
like-
differs.
If you're somebody like Anthony Fisher or something,
Yeah.
you can't own a black car. You can't.
No.
Like, he would drive himself crazy.
He's got graphite gray on his Evo, but like he barely drives it, and I feel like that the color is part of that, because he can still see stuff easier than if it were a lighter color or a different shade. But yeah, no, like I've owned lots of like fun color cars before, but right now somehow I wound up with two two-tone cars.
Two white and black cars.
Two pearl white with black accent cars. Like that just somehow worked out that way. I swear it wasn't on purpose. I was actually looking, when I was buying my Miata, I was specifically looking for a black one.
Oh, were you?
But there were certain features I was trying to get that I could not find and in time of when I was looking. So I ended up going with the white one because that happened to be the combination of price, mileage, all those things, and availability. It just worked out. But yeah, no, I did it with the intention of wrapping it. That's why I wanted to get a black one, because I wanted to wrap it green.
Oh, okay.
I miss having a green car, man. And metallic green is awesome. I love it. Miss the Jag on that front, but I'm happy every day driving the Miata. There's something about it makes me smile every single day.
Yeah.
Even having had cars that like would blow it out of the water at a stoplight. Doesn't matter. Taking corners in it, it's a blast. It's just fun. You just feel stupid, silly fun everywhere you go. And I don't know. It's hard to trade that experience for anything else. I get it.
Lightweight, low to the ground.
Heck yeah. No, you can't beat lightweight, especially in this day and age. Everything new is just getting heavier and heavier. So anyway, off topic, but there's that. And now we're down to the last 10 minutes, and that's kind of the idea because I've only got about 10 more comments.
Lucas's Sledge Band channel.
Yeah,
the
what's
bugs
up,
on
Lucas?
the sliding roof protectors and sliding roofs in general.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So they collect up there, sliding roofs in general. Yeah, so you're talking about like a panoramic sunroof that slides back or something. Do you run into many of those?
Honestly, I can't say that I do. Don't know if I can relate to that a whole lot.
Or like bug deflectors? Because I know like back in the day, 90s, trucks always had that bug deflector up in front of the hood, just up at the top of the grill.
Yeah, I don't like those.
Classic where it's like tinted and those are my favorite. I can't picture pickup trucks from that era without them. Like in my mind, they're just automatically on there.
You know, it does bother me about bugs. I've never had a huge problem with. Like they're not overly difficult to remove. But what I hate is like those super intricate grills and whatnot. And somebody went on a road trip, and then you got bugs stuck in there, and then you got to actually get it. You got to be the brush guy. You got to get in there. Try to brush it out, and then you pressure wash it, and then there's a couple little specks still stuck in the middle of the grill, and then it's in the and then the radiator's covered in them, so it's like still doesn't look
Some
great.
of the newer like Mercedes-Benz cars and Lexus vehicles have some very intricate grills, or even like Acura is getting some like crazy looking grills that have all these little details in them.
Or the newer BMWs.
Well, I mean, newer BMWs, their problem with their grills is they're just like growing massive buck teeth.
Yeah, but that's like
it's getting ridiculous.
The AMG that I did this morning, like that's how the grills. It's got like the like the performance grills on the side, and then the main one in the middle, and then a second one above that. And I got to get around the Mercedes logo.
Oh yeah, and there's plenty of opportunities for stuff to get like wedged up in a place.
Yeah.
All right, we got Umberto here talking about prices again. Yes, a very small number of customers tell me that too, and I do exactly the same basic price. So like when he runs into people who haggle. So because I'm sure people are curious, what's like an average detail for you?
For me, as far as like...
Yeah, and this is the other thing. I'm saying average detail, and people will be like, well, what's that include? Like, what's all in that? Because you can't just say that. I'm going to go straight off
popularity.
Yeah.
So
what's what's the package?
Probably my premium exterior package. So wash, clay, wax seal, and then wheels and tires are just included in that. Charge around $100 flat rate for that.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like what I did for the Jag.
Yeah. No.
Without the claying, but
I was gonna say I had the other stuff too. But definitely wanted to take care of that. But yeah, that's not bad at all. No. And I think anybody who's out there looking like shouldn't feel bad, you know, asking what they think their time is worth. And like for the products you use and stuff, sometimes it doesn't make practical sense to charge less unless the way I wrote it in the description of today's episode, I was like, at a certain point, you're paying that person for the privilege of detailing their car. And I'm sorry, that's stupid.
Or has anybody ever had somebody reach out and say, hey, I'll get you free clients, blah, blah, blah.
Now I'm surprised this hasn't come up at all. But that was a pet peeve I used to hear from guys back in the day a lot was the customer who comes in and swears they'll get you so much business. Just do a good job for me. And I got so many family members and buddies who will line up for the opportunity. those people don't materialize.
This is what kind of bothers me about those people too.
Maybe once in a while you get one or two, but like it's
not worth me doing a free detail.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, not for
like,
a free detail. So
I mean, maybe if you're just starting out and you want to try and get your name out there a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, but like, I don't know, for like the people that do the whole, I could, if you do this, if you hook me up, I'll get a bunch of clients. I'll hand out your business cards to my coworkers and stuff. I'll tell everybody about you. I'm like,
I'll do the legwork
for you. If you liked the work that I do, I'd hope you'd do that anyway. You know what I mean?
Well, you expect me to work for you? It's just it's just something. When people have a good experience, the value of a word of mouth recommendation is that person was not compelled to do that thing. They were not forced. There was no gun to the head. There was nothing like that. They literally decided, wow, I had such a good experience with this product or this person or this experience, whatever it is. I, of my own volition, am going to tell somebody about it now.
Yeah.
Like, I care enough that I'm going to bring it up and go, wow, I had a great experience with this, whatever, and I'm going to tell you, friend, family member, dog, about it. You know, kind of thing. So, yeah, I get it. I understand it. But, like, that's the value in it. It ceases to have that value when somebody is like, do this in exchange for a free whatever. And it's like, well, okay, now you're not.
Yeah.
Your motivations are impure.
This is, I don't know. To me, this should be a one-way thing. Like, you're coming to me for services.
Yeah.
What are we helping each other out for?
Yeah, no, it's like a little scratch on my back, I'll scratch it. It's like, well, now it's not.
Like, I'm okay.
Yeah, the sanctity of the detail has been ruined. Anyway, that's going down a different kind of rabbit hole. But hey, integrity is a thing. Ethics are a thing. Look into them.
Lucas, have you ever tried hand polishing dull piano black window trim? What's your go-to? For dull, marred piano black trim, the B-pillars aren't an issue. Last cut.
Mm-hmm. Last cut's awesome for that. We've definitely done that a few times. But
last cut, get a little edgeless 365 if you got one.
I would say once you've done that, get yourself some like pre-cut PPF or something.
Yes.
Put over there.
You'll be so thankful that you did it.
Just it saves you so much headache in the future because, as we all know, whatever paint they're putting on those pillar trims is garbage compared to the rest of the car's paint. Like, whatever the quality could still be bad on the rest of the car's paint, but it's definitely rough on those pillars. Those pillars are always the first thing to go. And I swear they must use the same paint that they use on the interiors on the exterior piece.
Like, I literally think they take interior trim pieces
and just lay them all out, spray them all the same. Here's your wonderful gloss and like car reviewers talk about this all the time because like, Dane, what do you do in your free time? I watch a lot of like Throttle House and Savage Geese and like other car review channels. What do they always talk about? How much we hate piano black interiors. It's terrible. And detailers oftentimes feel the same way because no matter how clean you get everything else, that scratched up piano black trim, short of like recovering from some miraculous polishing you did, is gonna look trashy next to all the good work they did.
It makes me more angry because it's like there's nothing I can do about it. You know what I mean?
Manufacturers continue to do it for way longer than they should because it looked good in press photos. When you had the glossy black future.
There's nothing that looks better than brand new piano black.
And it looks great. And then 5 seconds after somebody sneezes on it, it is ruined for the rest of its life.
Yeah, that's just a tough one.
The worst. Okay. Anyway, that's my rant about piano black interiors. Spencer, gripe. Do you pull the seats out? Oh, this is a fun one. Then you tell them no, or that it depends, and then they ask why.
I won't do it, personally. It's too much of a liability.
It is. And that's something that Levi talked about extensively because there's a lot of people out there who think, well, it's not a full detail or a complete detail until you take out the seats and go to... In my old Miata...
That's a restorative detail. That's on a different level, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, for example, I took the seats out in my old Miata because, frankly, the rest of the car... If it's going to be a death trap, it's a death trap. Like, we understand that. And an NA Miata, 1992 Miata, if you get hit by anything in that, you're toast. You're cooked. You're done. So taking the seats out at that point, I'm really just, it's...
Can't get much unsafer. You know what I mean?
It's shifting deck chairs on the Titanic. But in this case, you're just trying to preserve what's there. You have one-way bolts oftentimes in these seats that once you take them out, it's not the same going back in. You'd have to get new hardware, which is probably not cheap. And also, there's usually a lot of electronics you'd have to disconnect to modern vehicles, stuff. There's just a lot of factors. Now, granted, there are people out there who may consider themselves experts and they can do this reliably day in, day out. That's their prerogative. If they feel comfortable, like, warranting their work and doing that kind of thing, great. But I can't imagine most detailers with, a strong sense of self-preservation would want to do that because you're risking your business when you do that.
It's like, have you seen Detail Geek on YouTube? Like,
Sure,
I know he does a lot of the whole, like, disaster detail, take seats out.
And,
it's just not
that,
for me.
but it's almost, and I don't know him. I haven't seen how he does his behind-the-scenes stuff necessarily, but when you're doing that kind of thing, this is not to dismiss it, but he's going for maximum views. He's going for the algorithm. He's feeding into that. So he's doing something that by normal detail standards, let's call it, whatever average normal is in our experience, he's going above that. He's going performative, like in how much detailing is happening here and the way it's done. It's done in a way that's going to make it the most compelling to watch in a YouTube video.
That's a good point.
Is that the best way to detail a car? Maybe. Maybe not. It depends.
Depends on the car.
Yeah. But is it going to be the best for guaranteeing views? Sure, yeah. And taking out seats is going to be a part of that. So when you see them come out, it's not a guarantee it'll happen every time, but it probably happens a lot because to the people watching, it's not thorough enough unless you do that.
Yeah.
And also, like, we don't know the history on these cars going through half these channels. Sometimes when I see disaster stuff, I think I, like many of you, are probably a little skeptical as to the let's call it the heritage of some of these cars, the pedigree of some of these cars. You're looking going, how did it wind up like that? And how did it just conveniently find its way? And that's not to say, there are many out there, like I see like WD Details, RJ, those guys, they go out and they find like stuff. And having talked to them, like they actually found stuff. It was really cool. But yeah, there's some others out there where you just look and go, that feels a little too convenient. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But it's definitely some food for thought. Here, we are at the tail end, but I'll blast through these last 5 comments. We got Exodus here. What are your go-to tools for dealing with all the super detailed black factory wheels on trucks these days? Lots of little places that dirt and films build up. Total pain in the patootie.
So I'll just tell you, I don't know if this will be useful for you. These are the wheel brushes that I keep in my buckets. I keep 2 synthetic detail factory brushes. I keep 1 boar's hair. I have ultra wheel and body brush. I have an ultra wool wheel mitt. Tire brush. That's about it. Okay. I feel like in most cases, a wheel mitt and a brush is pretty much most of what you need. Oh, and then easy detail brushes. So like the little easy detail is nice for getting in between some of those like tighter spokes and whatnot.
Sure.
But yeah.
No, you got it. And then Spencer here, something cool regarding chemical and food. A gallon of gas is actually more harmful to you than pesticides or Roundup. Also, take a 10-ounce cup and it will cover a whole football field. That is interesting. Huh. See, I like these kinds of fun facts. That's cool. Got Spencer here saying, also, humans love chocolate, but you can die if you eat a lot of it. You die, you give a little to a dog or a pet, and they're dead. Same concept with pesticides and insecticides. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And then we've got Demo here saying, great show, guys. Heading out now to eat. All right, enjoy your meal. Have a great weekend. And Umberto here saying, no seats out, no reinstall of baby seats. So baby seats are another one. You run into that a lot?
The only times I have run into it, there's been a pre-conversation of like an agreement, or I know them personally to where it's like I don't feel liable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because if it was I've never actually had to like have this conversation with a random customer.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I won't do it.
If there's a baby seat, just common sense to me is if you see a baby seat, you call the owner and you say, I'll do everything, but I'm not touching that seat. Yeah. Unless you give me explicit permission and I have it like
or there's a compromise
waiver,
like
something, because if anything happens to that child and you were the last person to re-secure that seat afterwards, you're setting yourself up for a world of hurt. Okay. Hippopotamus here. Detail Geek is staged for sure, but it's enjoyable to watch. And see, like, regardless of what the reality is, I think everybody just enjoys watching that stuff. And ultimately on YouTube, that's what they care about. So yeah, I just treat it as, entertainment. Exodus here, great Q&A, take care all. And that's the other thing. Staged or not, it's still doing all the work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily the same as if that stuff had been caked on for years. Like when I'm watching like RJ and the WD detailing stuff, I know like when I see those cars with like the mold and moss and stuff growing on it, it's like, oh, that's on there. That's been there a while. So yeah, there's definitely differences all around. But a great Q&A. Take care all. Thank you. Hit the thumbs up. Yes, hit that thumbs up, guys. If you haven't already, I'd greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure Luke would too. Lucas. Sorry, I keep saying Luke. I have a buddy, Luke. I always say Luke. Peace out, fellas. Enjoyed the show, says Hippopotamus Stew. Thank you. And Spencer, can we get a TRC burb towel or some cover to go under car seats? Something to think about.
Burb towel. What is that?
Burb towel. I'm not totally sure what he means by that, but
I'm down though.
We'll work
Let's
on
do
it.
it.
We'll think about it. Let's run it by the guys when they're back in the studio here. But I think that's a good way to round us out here on the comments and questions. Thank you so much to everybody who participated today. I think we had some fun going over some like pet peeves and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to try doing more of that kind of thing. Maybe I'll just keep recycling the pet peeve thing because it's constantly new ones coming up. But yeah, I want to engage with you guys more. And Lucas, you've been a great guest, so I really appreciate your help.
Appreciate you for having me.
Been a great co-host. And yeah, guys, if you haven't already, I'm going to ask you before we leave today, please click like on this video because you hung out, you enjoyed it. I know you did. I see you. But apart from that, make sure that you check out our latest main show podcast, the one with Alan Medcraft. Regardless of whether you know him or not, he's got a great story. He's out of Scotland, and he was president of the IDA. He did some, like, drifting, detailing stuff. Like, there's a lot of cool things that went on, so you should really go check it out. That was this week's main show podcast. So go check that out, and otherwise, check out the community tab for updates on a potential new show. If I can get that off the ground, we'll see. But I'm relying on you guys. Let me know with your comments and your questions, and we'll keep that train rolling. All right. That's it, guys. Take care. Have a great weekend. We'll see you.